Good evening, Dolphins Nation, and welcome to the Phins Talk post-game show here on FTSN. I'm Bobby Finstalk, joined by Fin Stanza and Fin Sammy, and the Miami Dolphins win today this morning in Spain by a whopping 16-13 victory against the Washington Commanders. Welcome to the show. This is not, this is the first time we're all together. We're usually on our pregame together, but obviously I was out, so forgive me. You guys killed it on pregame. I got to watch some of that, but you guys did have an eventful post-game show on the Phins Faithful podcast. So hopefully, just hopefully, you guys are ready to go here. Before we get started and talk about the Dolphins' fourth victory on the season, let's welcome in Finn Sammy. Sammy, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. Every day is good after the Dolphins beat her. No matter what other people say, I'm just glad we won today.
Evan, how are you?
I feel like a grown man. That was a big win. I feel like a grown man. I'm telling you, I sent it to Brett. I feel like a grown man. That big boy, I put on my big boy pants. I went to Spain and I won a football game today. I feel phenomenal.
Yay! And talking about Brett, he just dropped in.
That post-game thing, I didn't think they were going to do it, guys. We'll talk about it. But vomit. Barf. Yuck.
Well, let's bring in Brett Legassi into the show. He is ready to go.
It's his fault. He did this to me. You did this to me, Brett. It's all your fault,
hey,
Brett.
Listen, I'm just saying, ever since I did the last one, did the show with Sammy, the Dolphins won. The Greer's gone. I'm just saying, and I actually checked my handle on here, and it was like Fire Greer McDaniel for all sell the team. And that was the last time I was on. So hey, I'm just saying. I
agree and started winning, so what more can you ask for, right?
Right. I honestly thought like this game was going to be a loss, and Miami was going to go, and that was going to cool Ross down a little bit. Because you know how he is, his knee-jerk reactions with Philbin back in 2014, like he's our coach next year, just to fire him 4 games later, or 4 games into the next year.
True story. Yes.
So, if you watched Finn's Faithful Pod, at least the part I watched post game, you would have thought maybe that Miami had lost, but it wasn't that. So we're going to get into all those opinions, but the Dolphins did win today after a huge win against the Buffalo Bills, an impactful win, curb stomp, if you want to call it. And then come here. And again, I don't know what your guys' official predictions were. I will say, I'm pretty sure my son had it 24-0 Dolphins. I remember that. I had 34-10 Dolphins because I was like, there's no way. First off, they were going to go. I figured they were going to win. I was like, there's no way they can't curb stomp these guys if they did that to Buffalo. I did not expect this. Now, of course, you do have to factor in they're playing in Spain, the travel and all this whatnot. But still, it was kind of a. How do you say that, Evan? What was the term we used on the phone earlier? And I'm trying to remember. Feel good. Was it feel good? It wasn't. It's a win, but it wasn't.
No, it felt like it was like it wasn't a feel good moment. It was it felt like I don't know. It's like it was. I don't know what the best term was that I used with you before. It felt it wasn't a feel good moment. It felt like a I felt emotionless by it. I felt like. This is just plain.
I'll tell you what. I try to look at
for me, it was a cluster blank. It was
sure. I know. Look, I'll say full disclosure. I didn't get to see the first half. I was out with the family. I was at church. My daughter was in choir, and then we walked or did some stuff. And then I got home. I watched the second half. But as I kind of followed through with the first half, it was kind of, I peeked a little bit on my phone, and my wife hit my hand, and she was like, and I was like, oh, sorry. I put my phone away. I saw it was 3-3. Then it was 6-3, which. Again, not losing anything, but I did see there was a BSPI call, all this extra stuff. It wasn't until I got home where I got to see it. And again, with the victory, first off, a win's a win. I will say that, right? It's still a win. And again, the season is still ongoing. You got to hold out the hope and, just go with it. But you never apologize for a victory. I don't apologize for a victory. But you're right. But I'm going to say, I'll tell you what I did. I'll say the good things besides the win today, because Miami did do the job to win, because there was a lot that Miami left on the table. Tua did not play a great game. The defense let Washington off the hook plenty of times, big first downs. All the defense did not play this game. The offense didn't play this game. Devon Achane had a great game again. I mean, 165 yards. What was it? 100, right? 165, was that right?
Yeah, he had a whole 120 yards
rushing and 45 yards receiving. Yeah. So Achane had what a great game. Ollie Gordon, 45 yards, but a touchdown. So, those are and then Jack Jones with the clinching interception in the end to seal it up. And of course, the Dolphins with the field goal kick. We're going to touch on all that. There's other things that, of course, you could look and see and of course, he did the Cristiano Ronaldo. Sweet. My son keeps telling me to say that. That's the first thing he noticed after the INT. He did the Ronaldo. Yeah. He kept doing that in the living room. So those, besides the win, those were the things that stick out to me. And I go, you see, that's Devon Achane. That's the star you have. This is what he does. You can always, no matter where the Dolphins are, no matter how bad of a game they could be playing, he's always consistently good and consistently producing. Who said
me. I got my take on Achane, and it's not that it's like he's a bad player or anything, but he's a playmaker.
Here to rip Achane,
he's a playmaker, but if the minute that you get him in between the tackles, it becomes very inconsistent running. When you get him downhill, and he can use his speed, he's good. If defensive linemen get their hands on him first, he goes down. If they have a bad angle on him and he gets to the second level, he's making guys miss and breaking tackles. He's a good player. He's a good weapon. He's overused, which is evident in the red zone. And he got stuffed a couple times. He's not the guy you want for short yardage. He's a good back, but when the field gets condensed, it becomes like you're going to have to start getting creative with him. LaShawn McCoy even said it. LaShawn McCoy, one of the best backs we've seen in the last 15 years. But he said it that Achane, he doesn't know if Achane could succeed anywhere else because everything he does that's big numbers is to the outside only, and he's not wrong about that.
And by the way, when he went out, by the way, Brett, I don't know if you noticed, because I watched back the game, him going outside and going out of bounds on the 18-yard line when they had under 2 minutes left actually was a boneheaded play by him because he could have killed the clock further. And it would have given more reason to kick that field goal. He had no reason to go out of bounds there. He didn't have a context where he was on that play.
I'm not going to beat him up for that.
No, I'm just saying
the entire team has no situational awareness. That's a coaching flaw at every position coach, which we could talk about later. But as far as Achane goes, he's a weapon and a playmaker. He's their best player on the roster. But the biggest problem is he's sorry, my little one just ran in here. The biggest problem is they expect him to be Saquon Barkley, and he's not Saquon Barkley. You know what I mean? He's not that guy. He's a good back. He's a talented back. He's a playmaker, and I want him here long term. So as far as people understand that, but we need a true every down back in front of him to team with him, because the weeks before he only had 60 yards rushing. Right, and he was getting stopped at the line, but on the last 2 weeks he's been over 100 yards rushing. He was more consistent, but he's not. I wouldn't say he's a very consistent back, but since they went to the heavier personnel, used a Brunskill as a fullback / tight end, it's really helped because our tight ends are awful sealing the edge, so that's really helped a lot. But when you get him downhill and he can use his speed, that's when he's dangerous. But in the passing game, that's where his to me, his value really takes another turn, because that's when he's the guy when the defense gets aggressive. He's the one that slips out behind you. He's the one that makes plays behind there. Who's the one they throw the ball to the most? Achane. Now, I would like to see him going out wide and deeper routes more, but right now he's the swing pass guy. He's the screen guy. He's the short pass guy. So that's where we're at with that. That's again, not knocking him. He's a good player, but I wouldn't say he's consistent. But he's probably our most consistent.
Hold on a second.
He's our most consistent player.
Exactly. Let's be real here for a second. Yeah. Walk away. Don't come in here with that crap and then just walk away when I'm about to make my point. Get your ass back in that chair, Dad. First of all, walk away when he makes a point. Set your.
I have to take the little one out.
He's like, I'm not listening to this. All right.
It was like a no-look pass. Like, okay, I'm out of here.
He's like, yeah. Let me just walk off. Like,
Picks on HN are not going to be popular, but if we keep running him full time, we're not going to have HN anymore.
They haven't been.
Yeah,
This is the
true.
problem too. Here's my thing. First of all, he is our most consistent weapon on offense. He is our most reliable weapon on offense.
Mm-hmm.
No one else is. Whether they're dropping the ball, fumbling the ball, not being available, our quarterback runs like molasses. Devon Achane is a superstar. He is. 31 other teams would want him.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
21 times is not overuse. 21 attempts is not overuse. It's only overuse when other people think it's overuse. Who else were you going to hand the ball off when he got squashed? Who were you going to hand the ball to or go to in that moment? He was the only and I'm an Ollie Gordon guy, all draft. And he made that one touch, but before he got stopped like nothing, easy in the back, lost it down, whatever. But Devon Achane is your superstar. He's the guy you go to. He's not running 30, 40, 50 times. 20 times he ran. That was a play. That was a football play. The guy got on top of him. He got bent down, got outwinded, came back in, finished the game. 31 other teams would want Devon Achane. Yeah. Other teams would see him as a Saquon Barkley type of back, not be the exact replica of a running back of that type of back. He's not Derrick Henry, who a few years ago, 2 years ago, people were coming at me for saying the Dolphins should go after Derrick Henry. He's not that, but he is one of the better backs in the league. Not because, he's going to get you 100 yards every game, because he could get you 60, 70 yards a game, plus 50, 60 yards in receptions, plus get you a touchdown reception. You could use him in every different facets of the game. He's special. And what is he? Is he third in the NFL out of all the running backs behind the superstars or whatever you call it? I forgot who's number one and number two, but isn't he third after the touch? Missing the tackle. They brought it up today. It was in the rankings today. This kid is special. This is the only reason why we won today. He's the only reason why the Dolphins offense is watchable. And you could shake your head all you want just because now I got a buddy here to make my point across, which is wrong. He's the only reason why we won. He's the only reason why this offense is watchable.
And don't tell me. Go watch Mike McDaniel. Mike McDaniel gave a game ball to Jordan Brooks, who Brett will explain why he got 20 tackles.
Because it's not a good thing.
He gave one to Jack Jones. He gave one to Minka Fitzpatrick, and he gave one to Ollie Gordon. So I was pissed off at Mike McDaniel. Wow. How do you give a game ball to Ollie Gordon, Jordan Brooks, Minka Fitzpatrick, and Jack Jones, but not to Devon Achane? So even Mike McDaniel didn't even recognize in his post game that the only reason why he won was Devon frickin' Achane. So your head coach is so oblivious to the fact that he only has one weapon. He doesn't even recognize it.
We'll get to the head coach. We're talking about Devon Achane because
Brett
brought up Devon Achane. I just said my point to me was that Devon Achane was one of the main reasons he is our most consistent weapon on offense.
Yeah.
He's one of the better backs in the NFL. Everybody wants him. The teams are calling for him. Let's not pretend. So I'm talking about that. No one's talking about me. We'll get to McDaniel.
I'm not talking about but when it comes to. All right, so if you look at the games, hold on. Give me 1 second.
By the way,
it's hard to talk about Devon Achane because he is our best player, but so many people have him hyped up that he is an irreplaceable player. But when you look at Achane and his season so far, against Baltimore, he had 67 yards, right? Mm-hmm. Against Atlanta, 67 yards. And he only averaged...
How many attempts?
18.
Okay.
Right? So that's... And against Cleveland, he had 13 carries for 82 yards with a long of 46. So half of his yards came off of one play, or more than half his yards came off one play. So it's not that he's not good, but
it's not. You see, you're only talking about rushing. What was his receiving numbers?
Well, his receiving numbers weren't all that high either.
They're not going to be because he's not a number one receiver.
No. But what I'm saying is he's a good back. Right, so against Cleveland, 16 receptions on three receptions, 16 yards. Against Atlanta, 5 receptions, 24 yards. Baltimore, 6 receptions, 39. So that was a better game. and then Buffalo 6 for 51. So so the last 3 weeks he's been consistent, right? The last 3 weeks he's been better. He had 16 or 67 yards against Baltimore, but 14 carries versus 18 carries against Atlanta. He had 4.8 yards per carry. So he's now these last 3 weeks he's been consistent. Before that, he was not consistent. And that was a big problem. And the defenses were getting to him and stopping him. And we've had this problem a couple of times where they know what we want to do. We want to get lateral with them. And defenses just play that, and they stop them. Kansas City, they would stop them. Denver, if we face Denver, they'll stop them. Baltimore, they had some fits with that. So, like, Cleveland didn't seem to have a problem stopping them. So it's like if you play a defense that has really good speed and discipline, Washington was actually they started slowing him down and corralling him, but then he started like breaking off runs and stuff. But like they really need to slow down on his carries and keep using him in the passing game. That's where he becomes a problem for defenses, is when you start getting him into the pass game and run game, and you're intermixing with Ollie Gordon and Achane in the backfield. Have you noticed Achane's gotten better when you have two running backs in the backfield too? And what's changed is the outside blocking with Brunskill playing tight end, where you're getting much better blocking on the outside, and whereas Achane run better on the outside. Achane is a fantastic player. He's been awesome for us, and I wouldn't even consider getting rid of him. But a lot of teams would use him in the way that I'm saying to. And I'll give you one name that makes the most sense. How did the Saints use Alvin Kamara? Remember everybody was talking about he's this lead back, this and that, and then all of a sudden he started fading to being like a playmaker, but they had to have a lead back. That's exactly who he is. And that's exactly where he's dangerous. But you don't want to have a lead back where you only bring him in like 10 touches total. Not that. You don't take his vibe away there, but you don't like run him for 20 times. You know what I mean? So, Daniel, that doesn't make any sense. I didn't say bench. See, this is why we can't have conversations, because it's like you say like you need to intermix other backs, and it's not saying bench Achane. You need a better back in front. You need a true running back.
Let's just explain something so I can get in trouble just like Brett. Achane, I've been saying for weeks, number one running back, phenomenal, fantastic, great. He can't do it by himself. And what's proving is the fact that we scored 16 points and he didn't have a touchdown today, because that's just the way our offense was running today. It just was not consistent on Mike McDaniel. It started off with taking a timeout 2 minutes into the game, not knowing it was fourth and what the time, couldn't know the clock, and then Kadeem from Go Time on Fit Faithful blamed the fact that there wasn't a clock. Tua didn't realize because there wasn't a clock at the end of the field, so he couldn't see. But that's bananas to me. Javon Achane can't do it by himself. He needs other weapons. Today, Jalen Waddle was awful. He body catched. He caught less than 50% of his catches today. He was not excellent today.
So I want to say, you could follow up right after, I promise. I just want to get this out before I lose it. You're not wrong in regards of they need weapons. They need other reliable weapons, but they don't have that. So this is a conversation you have at the end of the season, not after a game, after a victory. We're like, oh, they need more weapons. They need to go with they need another. It's like, what?
Well, no. But Ollie Gordon needs more touches because you had him run a chunk play, and then you stop giving him the ball, and then you give it to Achane for a couple plays, and you go 3 and out after Gordon just has a big chunk run. Because they were running off tackle, they were running gap run with Ollie, and it was working because Washington was spread out, was playing the edge, and then you decide we're still going to run Achane. Like, well, they know what you're doing with Achane. Go back to running Gordon where they're spread out, and you're going to keep chunking them, and then they had the punt. So what I'm saying is you're going to have to start mixing in your other backs. You're going to have to start giving Gordon the ball.
That's why Ollie had 9 carries. You are mixing the other backs. That's why the run game had 169
Jalen
yards.
Jalen Wright had 1.
Okay, who's Jalen Wright? I mean,
let's
be real. Let's be real here. Hold on a second. And I love Jalen Wright when he came out of Tennessee, and I was banging the table for Ollie Gordon. But let's be real. We're acting like these guys are all pro.
Bobby,
who are they?
Bobby.
No, Bobby, nothing. Wait a second.
Yes, Bobby.
No, you said Jalen Wright had 1 carry. Who is he? Who? We know who Devon Achane is. Who's Jalen Wright?
That he deserves Devon Achane.
And he's got more than 1 carry right now.
No, but that's a question. Where's the Dolphins captain? Where's Captain Fullback?
Hey, did the Dolphins win? Yeah. Okay, thank you. That's all I want to know. Okay,
where's Captain Fullback, by the way? Where's Captain Fullback?
Got that.
Where's Captain Fullback, Bobby?
Alec Ingold?
Where is he?
I don't know.
It's ridiculous.
He had 9 carries,
By the way,
45
It's not
yards, and
stupid
you didn't
arguments,
give him the ball more.
Daniel, I said this on Twitter. We are happy that we win football games. What is bananas about this team is the fact that they won a football game against the Washington Commanders, scoring 16 points. I predicted 27-23. Sammy had 27-17. The fact that they literally had 6 points going into the half against a team that was missing their best D lineman. The fact that they could not score 6 points, more than that, could not score a touchdown on this defense that has been struggling against a team that's missing their star quarterback and their star wide receiver, and they literally ate us up. And the defense, as bad as our defense was today, not being able to get off the field, Achan did his job. Achan wasn't the problem today. The problem is what? Except when he went to the 18-yard line.
Wait a second. That's my point. Like, wait a second.
No,
I'm saying this was not a perfect game. We still won. Just win, baby. Wait a second.
I push back on consistency. That's all.
Wait a minute. Hold up. Wait a minute. That's my freaking point. We won. And Devon Achan was a big part of that victory.
Okay, let's break it up.
But wait a second.
I didn't say that. I said they weren't consistent.
We should be celebrating. 45 carries off 45 yards for 9 carries. That is great. 120 yards on 21 carries, 45 yards for 5 receptions. Devon Achan, that's pretty damn good. We should be celebrating Devon Achan and going off on other guys. Why the hell are we spending 20 minutes of the show going off on Devon Achan? We should be, thank God we got a player like Devon Achan. We could build off that.
All I said was he's not consistent week to week.
He is consistent.
When he says he's our most consistent player, I'm like,
he's reliable. I know. You hater. You came in here for one reason. You messaged me. You scapegoated me. You said, I want to be on the show. You came on here to come at me. I haven't bought you. Canadian money. I hope it was tariff.
Well, wait. That's worth less down here, right?
That's right. You got me played, brother. You got me played. I don't know. Damn.
No,
we should be celebrating. We should be celebrating.
Be a consistent week to week. That's all I meant.
I'm celebrating.
Listen, look, consistent. Wait. Hold on, Brett. You know this. You and I have done this for a very long time.
Yes,
but consistent not only doesn't always mean he's going to have 120 yards every game. He had a great game last week against Buffalo and had 100.
Yeah,
consistent means you can count on him to get plays done. He's in the passing game. I said a while back. He reminds me when he was drafted, Austin Eckler type of back. You could count him in the run game. You count him in the passing game. He's not. And maybe he exceeds that expectation. It becomes greater. He's playing great right now. But can he have a drop off if Miami doesn't go? You know what? Hopefully, Ollie Gordon grows into that lead back or that ground and pound back that we don't have to always give him 20 carries or keep it balanced. But we don't know that yet. We do know is that Ollie is always going to get you production. He's always going to get you the yardage, or whether that's through the passing game or through the running game. Yes, should Miami make sure they find another back that could complement a tag team with Devon Achan? Absolutely. But until that time comes, he's your guy. And he's a damn good guy because guess what? The Chiefs would want him. The Eagles would love to have him. Any of those teams would be dying to have him. The Dolphins got him. So why, Evan, why come at the guy, the only guy that's the best weapon on offense, instead of going, let's talk about.
I never came at him tonight. I never came at him.
I know you paid Brett to get on this show to come at this.
I
couldn't even get through my opening thing of the Dolphins won it. This is why
you know what's the game?
I know what you did.
Devon Achan, everyone disputes you. I think Devon Achan was.
That's how excited he is.
Because Evan's gonna hate. Evan will hate some of the things I have to say later, though.
It's true. Daniel's right. Let's get Sammy in here, and I'm sure he could be going. Let's get Sammy. I know Sammy was on post game earlier, and I didn't hear what he had to say about it. But since we're gonna get into Achan now, let's get into Achan. Sammy, tell me why you hate Devon Achan. Go ahead.
I'm gonna try to be the voice of reason here, because if I'm here and I'm kind of confused, I can only imagine the people watching how confused they are. So I think we all have valid points, because at one point in the season, Devon Achan, was kind of inconsistent. That's true, but that's not only on the Van Nation. That's on the game plan, on the offensive line, on McDaniel's play calling, a lot of things. If right now he's I think he's playing great. It's been a couple of weeks. He's playing great. I cannot fight it for. I tried to find a way to criticize. I could not criticize Van Nation right now. I think he's playing great. I got scared to death at that play at the end of the game where he got hurt, and you see guys on their knees, and are they praying? Is he that hurt? At that moment, I realized we cannot lose the Van Nation. He cannot go down like this. I don't know if you remember that part of the game. I think that was the later part of the game.
Yeah, it's later in the game. Yep.
Yes, and it says a player on the field, say the A-chain, and see the guys on their knees, and I'm like, they're praying. Is that bad? And they don't focus on the player. So I think the Van Nation, any team on the league, he's a weapon. He's not only a player, he's a weapon. There are not many players like that in the NFL. Right now, Tyreek Hill used to be the Dolphins' weapon. Right now, he's the Van Nation. So I think he's doing great. I don't find a way to criticize him. I think there are other ways they can utilize him. I'm worried at times at the pounding he's getting for a guy his size for the future, because I remember Ricky Williams. Ricky Williams basically retired because they ones that keep running me so hard that they said this is not for me. And I've seen so many players that after the 4th year of their careers, they're done as a running back because the mileage is too long, the pounding is too long, and I want the Van Nation to be offered for at least 4 more years. So I'm sometimes worried when I see the way they run him to the offensive line, so the pounding he gets. But that's not here or there. Right now he's the best player the Dolphins have.
Right.
He's the Miami Dolphins MVP for sure. If you ask me, he's the Dolphins MVP. No one's deserves more to be the Dolphins MVP than him right now. Don't go sleep to sleep, Evan. Not yet. But you had to use the best weapon.
Beautiful lullaby about my buddy Devon Nation.
So I can understand when Brett is coming. I can understand when Bobby's coming from. But it is what it is. Right now, we had to do what we had to do to try to win a game. There's no tomorrow for this team. They gonna keep running, and whatever happens, happens. Bobby.
No, fair enough. But I have to ask Sammy, because I was going on just making sure, doing retweets and everything on X. What happened with 305 Sports Now? He said,
"Oh, that was funny. That was funny." So I get here like, okay, I'm on time. I see like I don't things like that happen when I don't have my glasses on. So I didn't put my glasses on. Like, oh, they start already. So I'm looking to the game and clicking over here and I get inside the 305 Sports Now. And Willie's there like, oh shoot. No, don't go. No, you don't have to go. I just stayed there like for 5 minutes talking to
That's hilarious.
We're talking about I watched the Hurricanes game on Saturday, so we had something to talk about.
Oh, good. At least you had something to talk about.
Yes,
that's great.
So I had something to talk about, and I like Will a lot. He was on PCB Plus. I think he's a great guy. So
yes, he is.
If someone didn't know, that would have been different. But I like Will a lot, so that was kind of fun. So I was there like for 5 or 10 minutes.
That's great. I have to go back. And look because I saw that on Twitter. I got to ask about that. No, all fair points. And legitimately, when the time comes, that's right. Is A-Chain inconsistent or the offense? It's the offense. It's true. That's what it is. But I get the point. We definitely, and again, could Ollie Gordon be that guy? I think so. I hope so. I believe he can. Again, I would draft or go after a running back every offseason. This is the same thing as a quarterback. I'd get the guy until we know. The whole team is inconsistent. You're absolutely right. I mean, what's it? 7 targets, 3 catches for Jalen Waddle today. Yeah, 52 yards.
Stop knocking Jalen Waddle.
I'll knock Jalen Waddle. That's who we should be going after. That's who we should be going after. No. I'll knock Jalen.
Taxes and a Waddle drop every single time.
My God.
And he's our best receiver. That's the bad part.
I would argue it's Devon Achane.
That's the bad part. We don't even have
the
best receiver at that
that's
position.
The thing. That's why. Here, can I just say very quick? Because first off, forgive me if I want to. I could try to pull up your name, but I don't want to. I will do in a second. But saw a comment on Sports Nation. I do this audio version of a show, just 20, 15 minutes. It's a fun thing to do. It's cool. I did see a question in there. Somebody asked about South Carolina wide receiver Nick Harbor as a possible target for the Dolphins. And I know some people will be like, why a receiver? Wide receiver? Don't sleep on any position for the Dolphins in the draft. I know a lot of people are saying quarterback with round one. Listen, more than likely, Miami will be out of that slot anyway. You're not guaranteed a game-changing pick or player at that top 10 pick either way. You just got to hope the next guy at general manager is a smart guy and makes a good decision. I will tell you, I do really appreciate Champ Kelly that he said earlier this week while in Spain that he thinks he doesn't want to attach himself to any other guys. He wants to build his own thing, and he thinks the best way to build a team is through the draft. Great answer. Okay. But Nick Harbor is an absolute option because Tyreek's more than likely to be gone, and you cannot rely on Jalen Waddle, whether it's health or consistency. It's not the same as Devon Achane. Can't rely on Jalen Waddle. So you absolutely wide receiver at any point in the draft is absolutely in the conversation. But guard. Trade for more picks. Lou is absolutely right. Again, if the Dolphins did get into the top 5, if the Dolphins were a top 5 pick, I would absolutely entertain trading down. 100% would say trade down that pick. I would. If you're not in the, I would trade down.
It depends on what's there.
Oh, okay. That's a good point. Okay.
What last time we traded down, we missed out on some elite players like Jamar Chase and traded 2 firsts for Jalen Waddle. Now we're bitching about his hands.
Well, it's Chris.
When I compared him to
you did
Mike Wallace.
I remember. I remember exactly what you said.
I still like Waddle as a playmaker. It's
of course.
His catch radius is narrow compared to other guys. So it's just a different style receiver. Still a good receiver.
But again,
like you're saying, 31 other teams would want him, but he's not going to be your lead receiver. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. But very quick, let's get through these numbers very quick. Tua today, 14-20, 170 yards. No touchdowns, no INT. Was sacked 3 times for 29 yards.
He didn't have 170 yards, by the way.
He did not have 170 yards?
141 net yards.
Thank you. Ollie Gordon, again, we brought it up earlier, had 9 rushes for 45 yards and a touchdown. 21 carries, 120 yards for Devon Achane rushing. Jalen Waddle, 3 of 52. Achane, 5 of 45. Malik, 3 of 42. Great. How do you say his last name? I'm not going to say that. I may say it wrong. I'll butcher it.
What, Dolchik?
Okay.
Dolchik.
Yeah, Dolchik.
2 of 18. And then on defense, again, Jordan Brooks, 20 tackles, 10 solo tackles. Dotson had a sack and a tackle for loss. And, other than that. Very quick, let's just touch on the defense. What are your thoughts on the defense from today? And we'll get into other stuff in a bit.
Anthony Weaver played very, very plain vanilla defense that was exhausting to watch as a fan. To watch the Marcus Mariota carve up. Kingsbury made some boneheaded mistakes, like that last drive in the fourth quarter. They basically gave it away to make it a 56-yarder that game missed. Outside of that, Deebo Samuel ate us. Chris Rodriguez did very, very well for himself. Markia, the fact that on 2 plays, one on the 3rd and 9 on the 3-yard line, and then one on a 3rd and 10, where Marcus Mariota ran for like 40 yards, the defense only gave up 13 points. But it was a very exhausting 13 points. They were on the field for way too long. They bent but not break. But I think they also didn't have faith. The offense didn't give them anything to look forward to anyways, most of the game. So the defense did its job when they had to. So there was tons of tackles and there was an key interception. But what I didn't like was the fact that Mike McDaniel didn't put the faith in his defense, even though they only gave up 13 points. So they were, if we had to give me a comparison, the defense, as bad as they were better than the offense today. So as bad as the defense was, they were much better than the offense today.
Sammy?
I still consider a win a win.
Yeah.
But, and considering that we lost games that we should have won, probably the game against the Chargers, the game against the Panthers, we took the lead. and there's someone that's a game that's missing from my head right now. But today we could probably make a case for us losing the game, for the Dolphins losing the game, because I during the pregame, Evan and I was talking. I said to Evan, "We are gonna know the Dolphins team that shows today in the first quarter." If you Evan remembers, I said that. But the first quarter, I said like, I don't have a good feeling about this because they came kind of flat. But I talked to on your show during the afternoon. The Dolphins right now with the win today are three. How about I think they're 3-7, 3-5 on international games. So the last two games, other than the short week, the offense and the defense showed. Today was an international game. Remember the game in Germany. Remember against the Raiders, the game against the Jaguars. The Dolphins been so awful international games. So I'm not gonna make too much out of the how they play today. I will wait to see if they give a similar performance against the Saints. We know probably the worst team in the league, and they play out to part to such a bad team. They're gonna my criticism be through the roof. But right now, international games are just sketchy. They're doing so much stuff. They traveled on Monday because they want to, acclimate to the time zone or whatever, but they had to do so much media. There's so many distractions. We're talking a lot about what happened today. I'm not gonna give too much to it. It's a win. I'm happy about the win. I can't wait for I'd rather have a win today and had 2 weeks in a row, spend Thanksgiving believing that we won the game and we beat the Bills, than losing today after beating the Bills, having 2 weeks of saying, "Oh crap, we just lost to the Commanders." Yeah, I'm so happy about this. I'm glad for it. I go to Barry Jackson's ex. He wrote some tweets today about directed that Dolphins fans are complaining about the Dolphins winning today. Just like it's basically what I said on George's show in the afternoon if he's faithful. Just enjoy the win. You don't take it for granted. If you lose, what do you gain from it? You don't know who's gonna be there to pick. There been so much talk about this week about quarterbacks returning to college. Then people say, "I want this, I want that," and now you don't know who's gonna be available in the draft. Concentrate on. I'll give you 10 seconds, Evan. Concentrate on the win. Concentrate on the win. Everything will figure out by itself. Evan?
I let Brett go. The win is key. The win is key. I want Brett to go. The win is key. It's the level of stupidity. I think it was what got me in my brain today, and I think we'll talk about it, Bobby. You'll get to it. Was the Rappaport report today, and the whole concept of seeing that guy right there literally doesn't act as if he still acts as if he's smarter than everybody else in the room. Because one thing Sammy said at the beginning during our pregame show, Bobby and Brett, was that will he stay consistent with what has allowed him to win football games against the Falcons and the Bills? Did he? No. He did stupid things. No. He did stupid things. Last week he didn't do something stupid, except for the first play of the game where they take a timeout. He did nothing stupid against the Falcons. He coached his best game against the Bills. Then he went to Europe and became stupid again. That's my concern. It's the boneheaded conceptual nonsense of Tua throwing 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage, or going forward on going forward the way that you did, not trusting your defense, but then deferring to your defense to make a good stop at the beginning of overtime. So the guy talks out both sides of his mouth. Happy they won, want them to win. The problem I have, which is similar to what you're thinking, Bobby, is that they said today, McDaniel's back, Tua's back. You don't believe in Tua. None of us believe in Tua anymore. All of us want to cleanse. Yes, we want to continue to win. And I don't mind. If we win 8-9 games and there's a guarantee that McDaniel and Tua won't be here next season, phenomenal. But that's not the reality. The more they win, the more we're going to be sitting here next year talking about the same nonsense. And my problem I have right now is I thought Mike McDaniel, after last week's game, sounded great in his press conferences, led in, looked good this week, and then he started doing these nonsensical, stupid things. And like the Greg Dulcich thing, how the Tua and him miscommunicate when he's been the guy in the number one tight end for the last 4 weeks, and they didn't know where to turn on an open potential touchdown that should have been a walk-in. Julian Hill taking a stupid block again. Like the rearing of its ugly head of the stupidity of the offense falls on Mike McDaniel because we know the restrictions of Tua, so he has to play around it. So, but that's his choice. He thinks the best chance to win is Tua. So for me, my frustration only falls in the fact that they win great. I think they're going to keep. I think they're going to keep winning. My concern is that the way that they're winning. It's the fact that it's not that they're backing into their wins. He should have had the win where it was 16-13, and then they would have won that game. It'd be a different conversation. But to actually allow the team to go down the field, potentially kick the game-winning field goal when you could have had the lead, then to go into overtime and you defer the ball instead of trusting your offense. He also took the ball out of Tua's hands, which is the smartest thing he did all day, take the ball out of Tua's hands. But that's also a problem. That now you don't. I have a feeling now he doesn't trust his QB. But right now, like I told you, Bobby, and I said to you on the phone, he's inextricably linked to Tua. So this is why I'm confused. We're such a confusing football team. So that's why I'm frustrated. Is that we won, but the narrative about this team around the NFL is that this was a pathetic win. A win is a win, but this was an embarrassing win for the Dolphins because you were facing a team that had a backup quarterback who literally outplayed Tua, a wide receiver that outplayed Waddle, and if it wasn't for Jack Jones and Ethan Bonner at those moments in the fourth quarter and for Devon Achane, lose this football game.
Yeah. The thing is, though, he did stick to what won against Atlanta. He did stick to those things. It's just Baltimore punched him in the mouth and he didn't have a response because this team doesn't have the talent to go toe-to-toe with a team like Baltimore. A team like Baltimore physically on defense just bullies our offense, and Tua, like he always does, sucks his thumb when things get intimidated. Tua is scared. Tua is not a leader. Tua is not a good quarterback. When things get hard, he folds. So why is what's McDaniel doing? He's taking the ball out of Tua's hands because he knows he screwed up and he can't win with Tua. And so now he's running the football and it's working until it doesn't. So against Buffalo, he took advantage of a depleted defense. It was a great game plan. It was a genius. He did everything he could. He knew the weaknesses of Buffalo and attacked it. He even knew, which people are giving him credit for, Miami moved the ball extremely well against Baltimore until the stupid mistakes were happening, which was a limitation on the offense side, and Tua throwing interceptions. It just kind of fell apart. The execution on the field is the problem. You can only scheme to hide your shortcomings for so long before teams start exposing it. And it's going to happen, right? If you look at the Chiefs, they're struggling this year. Why? Because they're lacking talent at receiver. It's not quite what it was. They're overcoming things like that, right? They were scheming for so long with the shortcoming at wide receiver. Now defenses are adjusted, so the Chiefs are going to have to adjust to make up for it. And the reason I say that, like, you look at our team, the execution's bad. Like, it's just not there. Waddle is now the go-to guy. And without Tyreek, who the offense was always ran through, not Tua, without Tyreek, the offense kind of falls apart right now with Tua. So, like, the whole thing, well, why was it Tua on the same page with Dolchik? Well, I mean, he's not on the same page a lot. That delay a game that killed the drive and they still end up running the play, but it was already a delay game. That was on the quarterback. He's the one that has to know. On those, when they're trying to draw them all sides, they have it a signal to go ahead and say, kill it and snap it before you run out of time if you want to snap it, or to just let it run out of time, take the delay, kick the field goal. But you could tell because they actually got lined up and ran a play that wasn't the plan, that they were going to catch them sleeping and then run the play last second, but they ran out of time. So that's on the quarterback. The dropped intercept. We want to talk about the drops that Waddle had. It would have raised to his stats. How about the dropped interception that would have killed his rating and could have changed the game as well on first down with when I believe Washington had the lead at the time. So with all that said, the defense played well. I'm not going to play the fantasy football nonsense. So they gave up this many yards and that many yards and this and that. At the end of the day, they held them to 13 points. And here's the thing. Yeah, they had 2 missed field goals, but add those field goals, they gave up 19 total points. Yeah, would have lost the game, but that would have been on the offense, not scoring points. And then you're looking at McDaniel like, why the hell wouldn't you take the points? Why would you go for a field goal? That was head scratching on 4th down. Why would you go for the touchdown there instead of just kick the field goal? You know what I mean? And kick the field goal, then what? Like now you're tied up. So it's like, for me, take the points. You want to play ball control, but then you don't want to like play the points. And I know I upset some people in the comments here that called me a bearded idiot, but the truth is the defense did their job. I mean, if you look at it, the last couple of weeks, the defense has done their job. They definitely did their job against Buffalo. Too many people are like, fantasy football has ruined fans, has ruined the knowledge of fans. Like, oh, well, they couldn't have played well. They didn't have a lot of yards and this and that. Like, there's so much more to that. Like, if you at least want to look at it, like Tua didn't throw for 177 yards, which wasn't good enough. The thing is, the yards weren't good enough because he 77 of those 100 or 70, was it 75? I got to look it up again. Of those yards were to his running backs and tight end, was to Achane and the tight ends, which means it was all short yardage stuff, 8.5 per attempt. To me, the biggest disappointment today was how bad the quarterback play was. Like that was my biggest disappointment. The offense moved the football, and they did well. The defense moved the football, and it honestly, Washington only had one big drive for that touchdown where Deebo Samuel had the big play. Other than that, Washington was relegated to just kind of scrapping along and earning every. And the defense, was the defense great? No, but the defense did their job, did more than enough. And then at the end of the game, or in overtime, defense came with the interception. That was big. And then the fumble on the punt. So this is where I think people feel like it was backed into the win, where Miami played sloppy. They didn't play great on offense. They played great on defense. They let a team that's also bad kind of stay in there. It was 2 bad teams playing them in Spain. And it ended up being a good game, though. At least it wasn't ugly. Wasn't like horrid teams, but Miami got that fumble, kind of rolled their way. They didn't really force that fumble on special teams. You know what I mean? It kind of fell to them. Jack Jones' interception, that was earned. You know what I mean? Like, so they put the team in position. Then we kick the game with a field goal. To me, the team fell into the win, got a couple breaks that went their way, but sometimes that's how football is. But they won, and they held on. And the defense is not getting enough credit. The special teams, we relied on the kicker. Riley Patterson's done a good job filling in for Jason Sanders. I mean, what else we could have a lot worse kicker situation, and Riley Patterson's done a good job all season. And then he's made every kick he was asked to make today. So it's just, this isn't winning football. This isn't like consistent to winning football. This is not how you're going to win consistently. But they won. Defense played well, showed up when they needed to. I would like to see Chop Robinson come up, finish the play, but that's always been something with him. If he finishes that play, it's a safety, and that's definitely different. But again, defense did a good job overall.
By the way, Bobby, Brett, who you're going to be shocked. I'm about to give him a compliment. Do you know who thinks the defense was better than the offense today, Bobby? Do you know who? You're not going to believe who actually thought the defense was better than the offense. If you recall, at the beginning of the show, a particular guy gave credit to the kicker, to one offensive player named Ollie Gordon, and 3 defensive players in Jordan Brooks, Mika Fitzpatrick, and Jack Jones. That wasn't me. It wasn't Brett. It wasn't even Anthony Weaver. It was Mike McDaniel. So if Mike McDaniel's going into a locker room, rah, 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 we won, and he's crediting mostly special teams in the defense and doesn't even highlight his baby quarterback and Devon Achane, the star on offense, he knows that the defense saved his keister today. He knows his defense saved his keister.
He does.
He knows.
He does know that the offense scoring 16 was definitely, they could have done more. And his frustration too. And you said he didn't trust his defense. I called nonsense on that because he went for the 4th and goal. And they were 13 for 13 to touchdowns. That tells me he trusts his defense with Washington backed up to the goal line. He's not afraid of Washington. and he trusted his defense would make a play and do what they need to do if they didn't get it. But he just felt like he wanted to put the nail in the coffin, because if they get the touchdown there, a lot of fans like, that was dumb, but hell yeah, we got the nail. That kind of like punched them right in the throat, kind of took the wind out of their sails, if that makes sense.
I want to go back very quick to what Evan had brought up earlier, in regards to Ian Rappaport's report on NFL Network on pregame, bringing up the latest on Mike McDaniel's job status, that Stephen Ross wants McDaniel to remain as head coach in 26, obviously, and then that Tua is expected, quote unquote, to remain with the Dolphins for next season. I'll say none of that surprises me whatsoever. None of that surprises me whatsoever. We know Stephen Ross wants McDaniel to stay. We know that. 2 wins is not gonna change that at all. It might actually make him feel better about keeping him. I don't think I think last week saved his job for the season. I don't think this week saved his job for the year. He has to finish it strong.
Yeah.
In regards of Tua expected to remain Dolphins a quarterback for the Dolphins. I don't think that has anything to do with being starting quarterback. Why are you laughing?
It's only expected
So
because of the contract.
It's expected, exactly, 100%. It's not about him being the remaining starter for the Miami Dolphins. It's the contract. He will remain as a Miami Dolphins quarterback, but doesn't mean he'll be the starter. Because I do believe that whether McDaniel leaves or stays, and if it looks like he stays, I believe he's going to have an opportunity to go and look and try to find a guy that he could compete with Tua and hopefully start over Tua. Because if you watch Tua, listen, it's not just the fans at home. I guarantee you the coach is standing there on the sideline. He sees the same thing we're watching. Ross, Champ Kelly, whoever is watching else the Dolphins for the GM job sees what everyone else is seeing. Mm-hmm. Regression in the highest order of Tua. Because Brett and I, years ago, before the draft happened, again, full disclosure, talking about Justin Herbert, nobody has said that Tua was not a good quarterback coming out of college. He was accurate. He had all that. But we all, I was kind of step back. But when he got drafted, you support your guy. He's your QB. You move on. You could tell you why I don't know if he's going to be the franchise guy, but hey, you know what? He could win good. He can have great games. He have good games. He can have real bad games. Nobody expected this type of regression that you've seen this year. That's it. I mean, this is legitimate regression that you cannot. It is a malpractice. No matter who's the head coach, to go into next season as Tua as the unquestioned starter. Now, if you couldn't go get a guy, if you can't go get a starting caliber free agent to compete with him, or go draft a quarterback to compete and maybe be them two as the bridge. If you can't do that, it's a different story. You're stuck. It's what it is. But it is malpractice to go in as Tua as the unquestioned starter. So expected does not mean signed, sealed, and delivered. Mm-hmm. And the reporting, I will not take as gospel until Stephen Ross comes out and says McDaniel is coming back next season and Tua is going to be our quarterback next year. So, but very quick,
another aspect.
Go ahead, Brett. I'll let you follow, and then Sammy, and then Phins stands up before we get to the next topic.
Real quick, he said, Rapport also said that if the team keeps playing like they did against Buffalo, and then he fully expects McDaniel to be back, and the biggest supporter for Tua is McDaniel. So like A. Rapport also said, like the best way for him to come back for Tua to come back and definitely be here next year is Mike McDaniel. But he didn't guarantee McDaniel is definitely back or anything. Just saying, like, if the wins continue and they finish strong, because if they finish, let's say they lose the rest of their games or whatever, or only win like one more game, I can't see Ross keeping anybody here. Now, if they go on, like, obviously, they were 2-7 when Greer was fired. So at that point, if McDaniel all of a sudden just goes on that run, I figure that's the turning point. If they go on a run and win like 5-6 games, I could see, obviously, he stays. But just because he stays and Tua stays, you're right, does not mean Tua is the quarterback next year. And he's expected to be the quarterback next year because of contract. But he also said that other teams have gotten out of situations with these contracts. The 49ers traded Jared Goff shortly after they signed him. A year after they signed him? The Rams traded Goff about a year after they signed him. The 49ers got rid of Jimmy G, and he had some dead cap. And Russell Wilson with the Broncos. So a lot of teams have ate some ugly cap numbers for their quarterback. It happens. So it's not new. So these guys, they can move off of it. I think it's just right now the safe thing to report is that's their idea at the moment. That doesn't mean it won't change. And if McDaniel is back, I think that means he hires his GM. I think Greg might be right about that.
Sammy?
For me, it wasn't breaking news. Basically, it's the same report that we've been hearing for the last couple of weeks. I said on Phins Faithful that we had a disagreement about that. You have producers. You have a national televised game. There's the premier game of the day because it's in Europe. It's in Spain. For every game in Spain, it's early in the morning. They have to talk about the Dolphins. So the producer said you have to say something about the Dolphins. They basically said what we said for a couple of weeks now, that they type at the hip, that if they keep winning, he might come back, that the best chance he has to come back is with McDaniel. Nothing new was said today. It wasn't like breaking news. They solidified what is going to happen next year. I didn't give it too much credit to what happened. I think it was just that. They had to say something about the Dolphins because it was morning football, whatever it was, they show they do before the game. They had to talk about the Dolphins. But it's not like I last week I believed that it was a certainty that Mike McDaniel and Tua and Champ Kelly will come back. Right now, I'm down to 51%. If you ask me, I have a feeling Stephen Ross, when he fires Chris Greer, was one thing. When he basically started cleaning house and cleans with the scouting department, people who have been there 35 years. That says a lot. That's not a status quo. That's not like 100%. Saying, well, we're going to reevaluate.
This is the most he's done.
It is.
Yeah, we'll reevaluate the situation. No. He fired Chris Greer, and then the subordinates went away too. That says a lot. The more I think about it, I used to believe that everybody was going back. I might be thinking Stephen Ross might do that's it. I've been carrying with so many things. I got here from when I was the team, and I thought they were right. No, I had to clean house. I had to put my own stamp. Whether it's that good or bad, it remains to be seen, because we know sometimes Ross has good intentions but bad results.
Yeah,
but I think that says a lot. The fact that he fired Greer and then fired the subordinates, I think that's a game changer for me. So I'm not as confident in the status quo to remain next year.
And like you said, the 30 years of whatever since the 90s got rid of those guys. Real quick, he took over at Ireland Sperano. 2012, Ireland Philbin. Remember, he got rid of Sperano. 14, he had Hickey and Philbin. 16, he clean slate, just promoted from within with Greer. Hired Tannenbaum as VP, and we saw who was running that show, and then hired Gase. And then he went right back to keeping Greer, get rid of the head coach and having Flores, keeping Greer, having McDaniel. But now he's got rid of Greer. So does he return and do what he did with the GM situation in Philbin and McDaniel, or does he just clean slate, because he's never cleaned out like lower execs before? That's how Greer was promoted.
That's what I'm saying. See, so that's
I feel 100%. Like the guys who are loyal to Greer are get out. Like I think,
and that's the thing. I know, again, and this is why to me those two were a bigger deal. I mean, Greer was a big deal, but those two really hammered home the changes within the Miami Dolphins, especially in the front office, because you're not going to fire the scouts. They're busy. They're traveling. They're getting film, whatever. They might not last after the draft, but you fired the lieutenants. Got one guy was here since the early 2000s or whatever. I'm trying to remember his name. And then there's the other guy who they were co-scouting directors of player personnel. You get rid of them. That frees up a guy to come in here and say, okay, I'm going to bring my own group of guys in. So I know a lot of people saw that.
Chip Kelly was hired this year.
He was.
And leapfrogged everybody.
Yep.
So you have a guy who was hired from the outside this year who also has familiarity with Mike Shanahan, just so you guys know. That's where he got his start. That's where he got his scouting. So that makes me wonder, did Mike McDaniel win the power struggle and say, look, I can't do this anymore. And Ross is like, you know what? You're a young coach. I think we could do it. Let's get rid of this front office. And then McDaniel saying, hey, those guys are stubborn as mules. Get rid of them.
So I let me just say very quick because I want to touch on this part here. But
Yep.
in regards to Champ Kelly, I told people because everyone's I don't want a guy who's associated with Chris Greer, blah, blah, blah. He's not really. He was signed this year. He was hired in March. And I go back to it. There was a big rumor before the season about Greer stepping down or being promoted to advisor and then bringing a new GM. Who's to say that Champ Kelly wasn't hired to be that heir apparent? Because he was just brought on. And that was the one of the head scratchers was him leapfrogging Brandon Shore and Marvin Allen to the interim GM spot right away. It was like, wait a second, he got it. And so does he have that? That's why I'm not sleeping on Champ Kelly as a legitimate option at general manager.
Nor should you.
No, and and again, I think what's more surprising, because if you listen to everyone, most everybody, they're like, nobody wants this job because if McDaniel and Tua are back, no GM's really going to want this job. They're just going to give it to Champ Kelly, whatever. But then you hear these reports. If we're going to honor the Ian or give credo to Ian Rappaport's report on McDaniel and Tua, this got to follow it from Diana Rosini. I'm going to butcher her name. Forgive me. Her report that she said that the Dolphins general manager spot is highly coveted around the league. That there's some veteran GMs on the market who are looking at Dolphins job. And whether even if McDaniel is coming back or even Tua, that job is still highly coveted. So, Evan, I'll start with you on this one, and then Sammy before finishing off with Brett. Evan, your reaction to that report about GMs eyeing the Dolphins job and highly interested in it.
It's the same way that we look at the report about Rappaport. You can take it with a grain of salt. Does someone want to come in here? I guess people think it's a big job. It's Miami, potential changes, lots of draft picks, potential ability to have full control. That's how I take it. But if Mike McDaniel is your head coach and Tua Tagovailoa is your quarterback, there's only one general manager who's going to want to take this job, and it's Champ Kelly.
Wow. Are you done? Yo, you all right? You all right?
I'm fine.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay. You all right, bro?
I'm good.
That was literally. I'm shocked. Okay, cool. Damn. I don't know how to follow up with that. Sammy, your thoughts on that report?
For a second, I thought I was frozen or something. Because
me too. I'm like,
not talking. Oh crap! This is now. What should I do now? There are only 32 NFL GM jobs.
Yes.
To be an NFL GM job is highly coveted. I see fans say nobody's going to go on this job. Come on, there are a lot of people who want to go on the office job. And again, Stephen Ross might not be the greatest as an owner in the NFL, but he's an owner that has proven to be willing to do whatever it takes to win. If he has to buy the grass company because the field needs resodding, he's going to buy the grass company. If he has to build the best facility, for his guys who are always injured next to the stadium, high class, he's gonna do it. The best facilities, the best food, the best stadium. That's why the Dolphins get the better grade of all teams coming out for players. So you have an owner that's willing and able to do whatever it takes to win. That's also basically highly manageable because you get Mr. Ross. We need this, and sure, like those billionaire Ted commercials. Give him whatever they want. You remember those Bobby, the billionaire Ted commercials on WCW, WWF? It's the kind of owner. He can be a good owner when you are a GM because you are gonna ask for something and you're probably gonna get it. So that makes the job highly by itself very covered. The Dolphins' salary cap structure is not great. The draft pick structure is not wonderful. But Barry Jackson again did a thread today, a tweet going after the Dolphins fans who want this team to lose. Joe Shad did the same thing. It's mind-boggling to me. And basically he said the same thing. Teams can change the course of a franchise in 2 years if they do things right. Look at the Broncos. Look at the Patriots. If you do things right, you're going to be able to do it. So, I do believe. I don't think it's crap. I do believe that the report is right. I'm not saying that it's true, but I think it's right. I think that there are a lot of people in in circles that believe that the Dolphins judge is very coveted, and they would love to be the Dolphins GM. The problem, and I don't agree with the fact that everyone said that Champ Kelly is the only one who's going to take this job with Mike McDaniel. Maybe he doesn't even want it. Maybe for what I know for Champ Kelly, that guy looks tough. That guy looks to have convictions, was heard and read. That guy looks smart, has some experience. So he's going to say, listen, if you're going to put me in this situation, I'm not that desperate. I'm out. I'm not going to set myself to failure. So I'm not ready to say that he's going to settle for the Dolphins job just because he's there. So we still don't know. I will not even say Champ Kelly is the only one who's going to take this job because of that. Can we all agree probably that if you say as a GM candidate, sure, I can make it way with Matt McDaniel, and two, then you're probably not the best candidate. I can agree with, because I want a guy that basically thinks as I do right now. They need to do a reset. They need to move away from Tua. They need to move on from McDaniel. But that's my opinion. So I think the report might not be true, but I think it's right. I think the Dolphins' job is going to be covered at the end of the day.
Brett?
So, like, both points, yeah, there's only 32. So somebody's going to want the job. I think what Evan's kind of going with here, kind of to his point, back when we were looking for a head coach, we were relegated to guys who nobody else was interviewing. And it's because it was forcing them, hey, they knew they're going to have to come in. You're going to have to work with Chris Greer and do everything he says, which I don't think people realize that enough. Yeah, Chris Greer is known as a nice guy, but it's his way or no way. I don't think he gives people the free reins like people thought. Like, I think that's why Daboll chose the Giants over Miami, because Daboll was familiar with Miami, so I think he knew that. So just consider that if that's the situation for Ross, like, oh, you're going to keep McDaniel, it's kind of like, well, crap. McDaniel took a dead end job because he had to keep the DC, he had to keep the special teams coordinator, and keep the defensive staff and special team staff in. He had to build his own offensive staff and then work with Tua. There was like, so it was kind of like you're coming in and saying, but I'm going to handcuff you. And then when you struggle, it's going to be like, well, what the hell, dude? You didn't do your job. So I do think that's part of what Ross is keeping McDaniel for. And why am I saying that? Because I said this before, that Champ Kelly made a ton of sense. He didn't get hired by accident. He cut his teeth in the NFL as a scout side. Now, I think he
100%.
played as a player at some point, but he cut his teeth as a scout in the executive side with Mike Shanahan. He knows the Shanahan system. Whether you agree with this or not, it doesn't matter. You like McDaniel, think it's stupid, think it's right, think it's wrong. It doesn't matter. But I think the likely chance is Chip Kelly remains your GM, or becomes like stays as one of your executives, and McDaniel hires his GM, not the other way around. Not you get your GM and you hire him. The reason I kind of like that is because if it doesn't work, Ross could be the one that says, all right, both of you out. You get what I'm saying? Where Ross is the one. Now, there's a lot of guys, Sean Payton, Bill Belichick for years, Andy Reid. These guys are VPs. These guys are in charge of football. They're in charge. They are ahead of the GM, not the other way around. It works that way. There's situations in Pittsburgh and Baltimore where it works just fine. You have the GM that hires a coach, all that. I think if McDaniel's not the one hiring your GM, I was writing a few notes. What I think is, I do think candidates, the way you get the candidates is if you give them the chance to say, hey, listen, I gave Mike McDaniel an extension. Tua's in a really shitty cap situation. I don't know if we can get out of it. I'm going to have you come in and evaluate everything, at least for this year. You don't have to keep Tua, but I'd like to try to figure out how we're going to do it creatively to cut some cap space or save some cap. But we have a lot of dead cap, and I'm going to give you free range. Like, this year is going to be off the books. This year won't even count against you. I just want you to evaluate everything. I think GM candidates will be willing to take the job where they say, hey, just for this year, I just need you to evaluate things. I need you to look it over. We need to build this stuff up so you don't have to worry about the coach GM thing, or you don't have to worry about the coach thing. The other thing I thought too is McDaniel. I think if if he were to be in a head coaching cycle, I think he would be considered a candidate to at least be interviewed. Definitely a hot commodity for a head coach or for offensive coordinator. So I think there's enough GMs in the NFL that are familiar with Mike McDaniel, familiar with that tree and that system, that could say, you know what, I think Miami is depleted of talent. Plenty execs around the NFL have been reported saying they like Chris Greer, but they don't know how he's kept his job for so long because he just hodgepodges players together. It's a collection of players, it's not team building. So I do think a lot of GMs around the league see and execs see like Miami's issue is more talent than coaching, and they can come in with the mentality of saying, "Hey, I'm going to give McDaniel more free range on his coaching staff," and then give them, and then the other way they could do it. I think it could be a hot commodity if they tell them, "Hey, you're going to instill your system. If McDaniel isn't your guy, you're not stuck with him." If we're keeping McDaniel, the only two ways I see it happen is they say McDaniel hires his GM, which I think is the likelihood, or they say you're just evaluate the coach and the quarterback for this year, and then we'll go from here. We'll go from there. Let's get the cap cleared. Let's clear some space. Let's make trade some picks if we have to. However you see fit to build the team. But for now, we're going to keep McDaniel unless you have a better plan. That's the way I see it. If they want to keep McDaniel.
Evan, you were smiling there when Sammy was bringing up a point. Do you have a follow-up point?
I can't remember what he was talking about. What was he saying? It was such a long time ago. About the whole, I think it was the whole thing about who wants the job, who wants to be the court, who wants to actually come in. Yes, if someone wants the job, but to know that you're basically going to attach yourself to a head coach and a quarterback. So unless the quarterback and the head coach and the general manager's mind, this is their evaluation year, and then after 2027. But also, Mike McDaniel wants to be literally have his hands under a new GM. It just doesn't seem right. It's laughable to me to think that this team. That's what's always been my frustration, is the fact that even if we don't win this, we win out the next 6-7 games. And we don't make the playoffs, and you bring back McDaniel, and you bring back Tua, and then you hire a general manager. It's not going to change anything for me. It's like the only way you can cleanse yourself of all the issues that are there. So when Barry Jackson and Joe Schad are saying, "Oh, people think it's a 2-year flick of a switch," no, it's not a 2-year flick of a switch unless you change the brass. Look at the New England Patriots. Look what they've done. They brought in a new quarterback, a new head coach, a new general manager that they've developed because Belichick's not there anymore, and there's a new stomping ground. Look how quickly they've turned it around. Naming it, and also what my biggest frustration has been about everyone who's criticizing the win, the fact that we might be critical of a win, or we might be critical of all this, is the fact that name me a head coach in the NFL right now that you know of that will be given his 5th year as an NFL head coach, not a playoff win. Name me a coach.
No playoff win since when? Because it depends.
No, give me a coach in this century, this decade, who literally has started off as a brand new head coach, who went
Mike
5
Tomlin,
years.
let me check.
Because if you talk about the Miami Dolphins,
no, Mike Tomlin won playoff games early.
Yeah, but this decade.
No,
he's saying
he said this decade. He said this decade.
No,
he said this decade.
That's not what I said.
No,
he said
this 5th year.
That's why I looked. I was like,
but he also said this decade.
I pulled a Brett. I went,
No.
No, he said in their 5th year this decade.
Let me clarify. Name me a coach who's the first-time head coach.
Yeah.
First-time head coach who in his first 4 years did not win a playoff game and was given a 5th year. Now, he might be given it, but my question is, I need to know that general manager has the ability to fire his ass after a game. But why would you go through that whole process? Also, I personally believe, Bobby, and I personally believe, Sammy, that it will be very hard to attract players to come play in Miami next year if Tua and McDaniel, after another season of not making the playoffs, why would I, unless you're going to overpay for me, which is the Dolphins can't do anyways because they don't have the cap space to do it, are going to want to come play with this.
I don't want any players to come up for a lot of money. I don't want that anymore. I'm good with that. It doesn't bother me whatsoever.
So my concern right now overall is the fact that he gave Philbin 3 years and 3 years, and then gave Camden. They gave Flores 3 years. They gave Gase 3 years. They gave Sperano 3 years. They gave Saban was under a year. Cam Cameron was a year. What has Mike McDaniel done?
I know. What has he done to get 5 years? I'll just say maybe Ross says I want to do something different. I didn't give these guys enough time.
He's never time. But he's never.
Maybe that's what he's saying. Maybe that's what he's doing. You know.
No, but my frustration is I just want. You cannot. Mike McDaniel is shown to me as a head coach that he's Jekyll and Hyde. When things work, he gets away from them because he's convinced. Like Bobby, I once said this to you, or once. When you go to work every day, you might throw in Waze or Google Maps because there might be construction, but most of the time, 99.9% of the time, you take the same way to work every day. Mm. Mike McDaniel will never take the same road to work. Last week, he didn't take the road home to work that normal. He had to pass by the elbow room because he had to troll the Bills.
Yeah.
This is that was funny. I thought that was funny.
It was funny.
It was funny. The fact that this guy is 3-7. Did you see Josh Allen today? 6 touchdowns. Okay.
He didn't do that against Miami though.
No, but that's my point. So how is that Mike McDaniel and Anthony Weaver have the ability to control Josh Allen, James Cook, Dalton Kincaid, but you can't handle Marcus Mariota? Sorry, you could not go against a team that had Noah Igbenogany in the backfield. They had no defense today except Bobby Wagner, and they struggled to find holes. It was bananas.
But every team, I'll just say this again, the Buffalo Bills lost to the Miami Dolphins last week. The Buffalo Bills are Super Bowl contenders. They lost against a 3-7, 4-7. Every team is flawed. Look at the Chiefs. They lost against it, but that doesn't mean Buffalo is not good. I'm not saying Miami's good. They're not. I don't trust the Miami Dolphins at all.
Hey, you want to talk about money though? Like this is something. This goes into the GM talk. I didn't realize this. So, for any candidate coming in, Miami is 7th in the NFL, which I'm surprised it's 7th. In dead cap with $34 million, $310 million allocated for next year already, and then they have a $20 million cap hit, $20.8 million, so pretty much all the $21 million cap hit for Jalen Ramsey, and 10.7 cap hit for Teron Armstead. That's all dead cap. Jonnu Smith, $1.6 million. They got $34 million of dead cap. So that is something that a GM's got. So it doesn't matter. Whatever GM candidate comes in, that's why I think if McDaniel's back, it's all just a trial year. Ross gets his money's worth out of the extension, and then they get the cap cleared up. Don't be surprised if Chip Kelly stays with McDaniel for 1 year, and they're all sacrificial lambs, and after that, Ross, everybody out, like Cam Cameron in 2007, and just puts all new pieces in, and just to get the cap cleared. Who knows? I just wanted to point that out because I was looking over the cap while everybody was talking for next year, and that's something the GM has to look into, and that's not even counting if they can get rid of Tua. So I'm just saying, like, maybe they will have just a sacrificial job, and then in 2027 they start fresh. Who knows? That's just something to consider, to be prepared for, because you just don't know.
No, I think you're right on. Again, I wouldn't hold on anything. Again, I will point this out though, and we said this earlier. There's a huge difference in the last years in regards of when there's been a firing. Chris Greer got fired. The Dolphins have fired a general manager before with Ross, but they fired Greer, who's been here since 2016. Was the GM since 2016. They fired him, but they didn't just fire him. They fired his deputies. They fired the guys ahead of player personnel. So that shows you that they are legitimately going, hey, we need to clear it out so the guys could feel comfortable bringing their own guys in. It has happened before where a GM will come in and he'll say, you know what, let's go ahead and give McDaniel another year. Let's go ahead and let me take a step. Yes, it's happened before with coaches. And then what happens? If the coach flops, then they fire their coach, they fire that coach, and they go get their own coach. It's happened before. That's why, again, I will not sleep on McDaniel coming back, especially because of the fact.
I wouldn't I wouldn't sleep on it. No,
I was gonna
Oh.
wait until he was done
Yeah.
typing. If it's not talking, it's typing, dude. I tell you. It's on purpose, I swear. You know, I'm messaging somebody from Indonesia. It's like, dude, just wait a minute. Like, my gosh, get off the clock. Always working. You know, I'm a businessman. Okay, yeah, I get it. Big dude. 7 foot tall, big business guy there. I get it. Who yells about the Dolphins all the time. So what was I saying before I got disrupted there? I hate that. Hold on.
You were talking about
what
you wouldn't take, like, basically you wouldn't take anything off the table with everything.
I wouldn't take anything off the table with McDaniel coming back because I do believe there even could be a scenario where it could be where Ross says, which I don't think because Ross is Ross, that it's a scenario where Ross says, let me bring in a new GM and let me allow that GM to make the decision on McDaniel and go from there. And the GM might go, hey man, you like McDaniel? Then let's go ahead and I'll hold him for a year. There's nobody there available to me that I could go get. Let me go ahead and bring him. Let me go ahead and we'll keep him for a year. Let's see what we can do together because he's been working with Chris Greer. Let's see what he can do with his fresh start with another GM. And if it doesn't, then that's when you say, okay, now McDaniel's gone. The new GM hires his coach after next season, gets rid of Tua as Evan would like, get traded or cut after, you know, but I would say, again, I'm saying the year next, not this offseason, but next offseason. That could play into it. And I will say the only difference is when Evan brings up what's the difference between Philbin, Gase, Flores, and McDaniel is, again, I believe the Chris Greer factor. They haven't fired Greer. They finally did. So I think it's allowing the new and not just firing the GM. It's firing his deputies. It's actually cleaning out the front office and bringing, because again, a lot of people say, oh, the coach is a coach. He doesn't bring in the recipe.
No. I'm going.
The ingredients.
No.
I found the.
Hold on, whoa.
No.
Good.
I'm sorry, Brett. No, mute him. Mute him because he took a lot of time. No, mute him.
So,
Whoa.
Let's be fair here. Mike McDaniel might end up being the second one, but you know, there's a coach who had 16 seasons with the team in the 2000s without winning a playoff game.
Oh, is that what you guys were doing?
Yeah. And it's Marvin Lewis with the Bengals. It's the first time head coach.
Yeah.
16 years without a playoff win.
but they're
So,
they're so reluctant to change anything.
Exactly. To be fair, that's about a point by Evan, but don't tell me that no one ever done it, because 66 with the team is a lot. The point's still valid by him. You know, you need to win a game. Oh, nice.
No, I do agree. I agree with Evan with that. Like, it's frustrating. You bring him back for a fifth year and he hasn't even won a playoff games. I 100% agree with that.
Yes,
that's
valid,
I think we all do. I want to bring up something real quick. The Andy Reid took over the Chiefs in 2013. John Dorsey was the GM. Okay, so John Dorsey was your GM already. And then Andy Reid in 2017 decides, John Dorsey was a GM, like de facto in a sense, with Reid. And then Dorsey leaves to go to the Browns. And Andy Reid replaced him with Brett Veach. I think Reid kind of pushed him out, right? So I think this is a little different situation, but it's not the only situation where we see the GM change through a head coach. And then if you look at the Chiefs drafts after Veach took over, they got better. So it's definitely something to consider in that sense. But let's remember that when McDaniel took this job, Greer wasn't just the GM. He was the VP. Greer has been the VP of football operations since 2019. He kept failing up. And so he was the one that made the decision to say, you're going to keep the staff in place. Maybe Ross realizes, hey, I was relying on the wrong guy. You know, maybe McDaniel could do things. To give McDaniel credit, these wins, this roster isn't that talented, and he's done well with the wins. Even in the losses against Baltimore, his offense still moved the football, right? He's not a dumb guy. He knows how to beat these defenses. It's just execution on the field. Maybe Ross is looking at this like Bobby said, you know what? In the NFL, we don't give the guys enough time. McDaniel would be a highly coveted guy. In a few years, McDaniel will turn it around and could be a good coach. Let's give him time. Let's get the right GM. Let's get things in and let him just go from the very beginning and go from there. And I talked about that, but Belichick said he doesn't want to leave North Carolina, but Saban wasn't going to Alabama, so who knows?
Yeah.
But no,
Okay.
like, honestly, I really think that maybe that's what Ross is thinking too. Is I don't think Ross has fully made a decision, right? I think Ross is taking his time to make a decision too, but I also think he's saying like, hey, we didn't give McDaniel a ton of time, we didn't give him a whole lot of help, and I really don't want a coach to leave here and go on to be like, damn, we had that coach. How many times we're going to have a coach that goes on to have success somewhere else? So I still tells me that McDaniel will be here next year, and tells me he's going to hire his own GM. Good, bad, or different, doesn't matter. I mean, good teams do that, right? But they shop for their own groceries. But with that said, we like Andy Reid. We've seen him have a change in GM, but again, I think he was the one making the calls. Are we shifting to that where McDaniel's making the calls? I don't know. I just wanted to kind of point that out. Something I was thinking of.
For me, I just wanted to go. Bobby, go ahead.
No, go ahead, brother. Go.
No, I just was going to say, for me, I guess one thing we haven't brought up is the fact that this team hasn't won a playoff game in 25 years. And
that's why it's hard to blame.
No. That's the appetite. No. But that's where the appetite of frustration, that's where the frustration comes.
Yeah.
Is that you're delaying the inevitable versus ripping the Band-Aid off now. And Mike McDaniel might be a good coach. But unfortunately, when you look at games like today, when you need your head coach to stand up there and find a way to make the simple decision. A real head coach who's not playing with, like, literally is playing with blinders on, doesn't go for the field goal because he thinks he has a better chance to score the touchdown to guarantee himself the win when the gimme is the field goal because your offense doesn't have it today. That to me is the mentality that I don't appreciate from Mike McDaniel. So I believe he'll be back next year. If someone told me today, you have to put $100 down, what's happening next season, whether they win another game or not, I'm convinced now that even if they now go 4-13, Stephen Ross, with his obsession over Mike McDaniel, will bring him back. Tua will be back, and unfortunately, they're going to be the guys picking these draft picks, and that's my frustration. It's more the ineptitude of this franchise to not win a playoff game in a quarter of a century. We were teenagers. All of us were teenagers. Even Sammy may have been almost a teenager at that point.
Not really.
You were in your early 20s. Early 20s. No, but that's for me. For me my frustration is that we want to see some changes, and if Mike McDaniel still has his finger on the button of decision making on this franchise, what has he proven? Remember, this is the same coach who has had his first 2 years with the higher star talent, lost 5 games in a row. Had an opportunity with a very good football team, had to have the number 1 seed and poo-pooed in Baltimore by some, and then had a home opportunity against Buffalo, choked that away by throwing the ball to Chase Claypool, then goes into the third coldest game in NFL history and starts with Tua and throws the ball, and then comes out of the half interviewed saying, we need to establish the run. And on the first 3 plays, throws the ball 3 times. That's my concern. It's the fact that I don't trust the caretaker of this football team because we're going to win next week. We're going to win in 2 weeks. It's going to be a very long bye. They're going to win in 2 weeks with New Orleans. Then it will be, I think they're going to poo-poo in with the Jets, but if they win that, then they're going to have so it's looking all good. The problem we have is that, as you saw today, they don't have the personnel, even if they win football games, or the head coaching aptitude in either Weaver or McDaniel, to concoct a game plan to win, because Tua is mediocre right now. Achane is going to burn himself out because they're overusing him. Waddle was mediocre today. So, and there's players like Greg Dulcich who don't know the playbook yet. Julian Hill is reeling his ugly head. The defense is playing the Russian roulette with letting teams go down the field. That's my concern. My concern is consciously, Mike McDaniel is a good, smart mind. Tua is can distribute the ball and can have some sort of anticipation. The problem is the more we win, which is great, we win. We want our football team to win. We're only delaying what we all truly, truly want. Is an established franchise that can get to the playoffs consistently and win a Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. That is not happening with Mike McDaniel. We're going to win football games, but we're not going to be a good football team. We're going to be the same average football team we've been for the last 30 years. And that is my concern. Because Mike McDaniel is the continuation of no playoff victories. Because no one in their right mind could possibly think that Mike McDaniel and Tua next year is a playoff team if Mike McDaniel is making the personnel decisions. Because this is the same guy who in 3 games in a row, has had to take a timeout in the first 2 games. That's how unprepared guys they are.
That doesn't mean he can't evaluate.
No. Brett, I'm going to shove that back down your face. He is the guy who was the final okay on Tua getting.
And that's. But hold on a second. Stop. You keep saying
you won't get it all right.
Hold on. But yeah, but like no. It's true. But wait a second. Wait. No. Stop. What was Tua the first 2 years with McDaniel?
Injured the first year.
No,
the second year.
Stop. Tell the truth. What was he? He was in the MVP conversation. He was.
For 5 games.
You can't ignore that. You could say what me and Brett were saying before he was drafted. You could throw that out, but we can't deny. Brett won't deny. I won't deny that he was in that conversation. What McDaniel brought out of Tua with the confidence made MVP. So I can understand McDaniel going, wait a second. Wait, he was healthy 1 full year. He's been playing great with all these weapons. Look at all these weapons we have. Yeah, push the extension. Why would we break that up? He did it. I would never extended him, but they did. I would have played it on the final year. I understood the extension because you don't want him holding out. So let's pump the brakes on. Oh, it's McDaniel's fault that McDaniel. Of course, you have to make that decision. It would have been idiotic.
Although he's not the one that structured the deal, though.
Well, no, it's not. But he was the coach. He was the one. Of course, he was the one who said, "Hey, look, let's not break this up. We saw what Skylar Thompson did. We see what he's done. Look what Tua's been doing. Let's go ahead and let's go push Tua. Why we are going to break this up? Not one person, no matter if you're a Tua lover or a Tua hater, had any idea he was going to have the regression that he's had. He's worse than any. I didn't see the comments. But there's no question. So I don't want to really put that on him. I don't think that's fair to do that. You could say, "Oh, questionable play calling. Oh, this," and you said it earlier today. You said it because you knew I wasn't on it, but I wrote it down, Mr. Costanza. I told Bobby in his first year he was trash.
I did.
And then he's going to go, Bobby said he's a rookie coach, which he was a rookie coach, playing under Chris Greer and Stephen Ross in that organization. Hold up. Wait a minute. Yeah. Wait. Let's just be real here, Mr. 2 touchdowns down and ready to leave a game. Evan's the guy that, God forbid, if I'm on life support, he'll go, how much of a chance does he have to live? He has about a 20% chance. Pull the plug. 25% chance.
That's me trolling, Josh. He would totally
That's not better. Would totally pull the plug too quick on me. No. But I'm not saying that, man. I'm not advocating for McDaniel to remain head coach. I think they should fire everybody, start clean and whatever. But let's just be real here and not put all the hamper of 30 years of crap on Mike McDaniel. Remember, and he was hired with Chris Greer as his GM and Tua as his quarterback. So I can
just Boyas is the defensive coordinator. Don't forget that.
And he didn't get roster say.
He didn't get a chance to come on. You don't roll. You know it's true. You hate it because it's true. That's why you're rolling your eyes. Because if you didn't like it, you go, wait a second. No, let me stop. You this. Crap, man, they got me on that one, dude. Damn,
you remember with Chase Edmonds and it just wasn't working, and then all of a sudden they had Raheem Mostert, and it was that fit the system really well, and then they got rid of Edmonds after that at the trade deadline. So it was
Wilson.
A lot of it was this stuff was like just they were I don't understand.
Anybody who agrees with him, he loves.
They were just
nobody
stuck-
wants to
I've
bring
been saying it for
McDaniel back.
3 years.
We're just nobody wants to bring it, but to pretend that he's solely the blame. Sorry, Brett.
At least I've been
solely the blame for
consistent.
everything. He's like, come on.
Well, no, like it, and I've said before, yeah,
been
McDaniel has a lot
consistent.
to learn. If he wants to be a good head coach, he does have to change a lot of stuff.
He's regressed.
But the reasoning is what we're all saying is probably why Ross wants to keep him. It was stupid to hire him in the tense that they did. A lot of us said that at the beginning. Like, why the hell are you forcing the DC, the special teams coordinator, and saying, hey, just hire your offensive staff? Oh, and hey, the defensive roster, don't worry about. You're only going to have some say of the offensive roster. And it really wasn't that much say that they had, because you realize, like, Greer made his first and second round picks, and after that, it was then the coaches and scouts could make their picks. And who were the better players we had? Day 3 picks, and day 2 picks. The Van Ginkels was a coach's pick. You know what I mean? Like, Achane was definitely McDaniel's pick. So it's like the better players are the ones that the coaches have found and the scouts have found. So, and that was a major problem. But what happens, like, if you gave McDaniel a better roster, it would be good. But it's just like, I think he'll be better offensively.
Weapons. Come on.
He had good weapons. He did good weapons, but at the same time, like,
But that's the job of the GM, and you get the best of those weapons, and that's what McDaniel's team, coaching team did. He did. I mean, again, I don't want this to sound like, oh, Bobby's pushing for me. No, I'm just getting the other side of it. Let's not pretend that with these weapons, no, let's not pretend that he did not bring out the best into it. Let's not bring when they did give him a roster, he overexceeded expectations with that roster.
They losing streaks.
And
who was their quarterback?
We still fell short of playoffs.
He didn't have
Not
a guy.
2022.
So,
2022 wasn't your quarterback. He was out.
So, like,
Exactly.
still
That's
lost
my
the
point. That's my point.
Playoff game with Tua, and so, like, it's.
You're talking about a guy who
like,
what down it was in a playoff game.
Like, no of us all of us want a clean slate. And
100%.
Reality is, it might, like, when I said all this, that this could happen, people are like, oh, people coming up with this are idiots. McDaniel isn't the guy, blah, blah, blah. I didn't say that I agree with it. I just said that that's likely to happen, that I think it's probably going to happen. To me, the best way is probably to bring a GM in that says, I'm going to evaluate McDaniel Tua. And then, hey, after that year, you know what? Moving on. We'll get somebody else. Because if you let him hire his guy, how long are you going to give that? 2-3 more years?
Exactly.
That's when it's like, oh, come on. I'd rather just clean slate now.
Again, I don't know why you're saying sorry to me. I agree. I haven't been on, I don't know what's that.
Sammy,
I'm not on 2 at all.
Think with his love affair over Mike McDaniel, Stephen Ross is going to bring in someone, if he fires Mike McDaniel, that's one thing. But do you actually think he'll bring in a GM that has the ability to then fire him? I think Ross wants to do it himself.
I don't have confidence in Ross, but
no.
However,
I'm asking Sammy that question. I was asking Sammy, do you actually think that Stephen Ross, if anyone's going to fire Mike McDaniel, it's going to be Stephen Ross. It's not going to be the general manager.
But I don't think
not
Ross
bringing in
is
a general manager to come in to evaluate Mike McDaniel, because if I'm the GM, I'm not getting stuck between that love affair. I'm not getting stuck between the love triangle of Tua, McDaniel, and Ross. I don't want that nonsense. Why do I want to be stuck in this? I might be a one inch. Why would I want that crap? Like I want full control. So I don't see also Mike McDaniel going to have this job if he doesn't have any say on what the general manager. Like if he doesn't have that,
McDaniel hasn't earned a right to say what as a general manager.
But yes, he has.
So he has not. Stop. You're a bunch. What's up with the? I wish this was a court where I can have a thing with hearsay. I mean, my goodness. Well, what if this guy would do that? And I wouldn't want to do that. And I mean, what we're saying is the same thing. This is how this will play out. We're all doing the same thing. Yes, because there's only 32 other general manager jobs. A GM, a guy's going to want the job. It's going to happen. And and it's happened before where a general manager, the owner says, go ahead and let me know this. I like him. He seems like a guy. Remember, this is what he's had. Tell me what you think about him. Let him go if you want to, or keep him a year, which it makes sense what Brett was saying. You keep him a year, see how it is. And if it's not, then you go get your guy and you get that 3-year window with those guys.
And I say that's probably going to happen again. Like that's probably like those are like the scenarios I brought up too likely.
Because we actually seen what Ross has done. We know what
Right.
his history.
Right. And my scenario that I would do, if just so we're clear, is what Josh said: get a CEO head coach, let him run the show. Which we had a chance at that Sean Payton guy.
Right on. Yeah, Sammy has talked. He bowls it and he holds it in and then he goes. But yes, the question was for Sammy. So Sammy, please respond to Evan.
Okay, the first question: who's gonna hire the next GM? Who's gonna do the hire? Stephen Ross?
I'd say Ross.
Evan? Okay, Stephen Ross making the hiring. So I'm the GM candidate. You're interviewing me. You want me to be the GM. I know where I'm getting into. So don't give me that. No, this doesn't want to marry in that love affair. If you hire me, we talked about that before. What's the status? You want me to clean house? I have full autonomy, or you want me to settle? You want me to settle? I'm not gonna take the GM job. So that person knows what he's getting into. He knows if he has full structure of the power, and he's the one who's making the decisions or not. Because if not, it's what happens. Then let McDaniel pick his GM and whatever. Like Sean Payton has his own GM, brought his own GM probably. I think he did. Is that the structure? That's a different structure.
He did.
But if Ross hires the GM is there to evaluate. What do you think of Tua? What do you think of McDaniel? That's been predetermined what he thinks about. But that's been predetermined. Or you interview him, evaluate the side of the franchise, and then decide if you're gonna fire everybody, if you're gonna move away from Tua or whatever, and then you're hired. It's not like, okay, you're hired. I'm like, oh, I cannot fire Mike McDaniel because Ross loves him. That's just, I'm sorry, but that's insane. That's not gonna happen.
No,
You're not gonna take a job under that circumstances.
How many people were saying, oh, they're not gonna fire Greer? He has something on Ross, man. They're never gonna fire Greer. They'll fire McDaniel before. And what happened? Greer got fired. So let's stop. Let's stop with that whole thing.
A lot of us were just expecting the worst of everybody to be back and this and that, and they just never did.
And they changed. They fired. I mean, they did it. They got the big change. And I don't know. That's just we're just pulling it. It's just
Ross is gonna make the decisions. He's gonna get the GM, and the GM knows what he's getting into. If he wants to keep the coach or not.
No, what I'm saying is I think they need to fire Mike McDaniel before they get the general manager. That's my point. I don't see Ross hiring the general manager without them having a unified message or plan to fire Mike McDaniel. Like the plan has to be that this is your head coach or this is not your head coach. But the fact of the matter is that for me, I'm convinced, and no one's going to convince me otherwise, just because this is such a Dolphins thing to do, that I will actually be flabbergasted if Tua, Chad Kelly, and Mike McDaniel are not your trio for 2026. I will be shocked because if they actually do it, they actually get rid of Mike McDaniel and cut Tua or trade Tua.
You were saying that about Greer, McDaniel, and Tua earlier this season.
Yeah, 1 out of 3.
And then now it's but it got
no.
You said they're all married to each other. If one goes, they all have to go, and they didn't. Greer got fired, and the two guys are still here. So why are we just adding? We're moving the goalpost.
Season's still not over.
Every season you move the goalpost.
I did not.
You did.
So
you said that earlier this year with Greer and Ross. Come on, you did.
I said in order for them to be successful, you need to get rid of all 3. That's what I said.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm the same guy who said you need to get rid of Tua before you get rid of McDaniel. I said that. You can't say I didn't say that because I did say it, and it's recorded.
Nobody's talking about Tua right now. Nobody's talking about Tua right now. But I will say very quick before Brett jumps here, I just want to say what Sammy was saying. Does Sean Payton have his own GM? He does. Did Andy Reid hire his own GM? He did. Yeah. Did was it John Gruden hire his own GM? He did.
Jimmy Johnson too.
Jimmy Johnson. But who are those guys? They are what Mike McDaniel. Mike
McDaniel
proven. Does not.
They're proven.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, hang on. Andy Reid, very beginning in Philly, did that. Mike Holmgren did that. However, Andy Reid, I don't know. That Mike Holmgren tree was very well developed. We don't see developed it in coaches like we did back then. Mike Holmgren developed a lot of good coaches. His tree went on for a long time. So now Andy Reid's kind of like one of those trees, but Belichick did the same thing, developed the guys. the whole point of the CEO thing is Brett Veach, quarterback at University of Delaware. So that's why I'm familiar with him. He started with the Eagles as a coach for a year. So broke down film with them, learned Andy Reid's system, learned what they look for in players, and then turned and became a scout. Became a scout, and then flipped and worked his way up, but became a very talented scout and good talent evaluator. The coaches do run the show, but what they're doing is developing a front office. That system has worked in Baltimore, right? Baltimore, still the front office runs the show, not the head coach. However, it was guys who were developed, and then they develop their guys. This is what we look for. This is what we look for. So that's why you always have, like, Baltimore always finds the same kind of guys. For Miami, they need something like that. I just read something, just trying to touch base on that. When they were looking for Hickey, the top 3 candidates, Nick Casario would be one of them. You see, he's got a damn good team in Houston, even though they're having an off year with some injuries. They turned the job down because Ross didn't want to relinquish the say over the head coach. So the question will be, will Ross learn from his mistakes? And we've had a power struggle before. Did McDaniel win it and convince Ross to say, hey, Chip Kelly's my guy. I think he's going to be my GM, and he can get the guys I need in here to help us win. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see.
So I'm going to ask this very quick. Did the win do, and because just based off these conversation, and we go around, I'll start with Sammy, then Evan, and Brett, and we'll start wrapping this one up. But did this win do more harm than good?
No. I don't think so. For those who believe that the Dolphins need to lose all the remaining games because they need a higher draft pick, and they so focus on the offseason, the draft picks and whatever, and they keep continuing of being offseason champions, they lost today. But you cannot talk to me every single offseason about the culture. And then when the Dolphins win, say, oh, damn, I wanted them to lose. I want them to win. I want a franchise that wants to win every single week, every week. Everything else will figure itself out. If you have the right people inside the building, you can lose all you want, and the bigs are going to be bad. The Jets are the losing franchise in the history of the world for the last 10 years. They had plenty of picks, and they still suck. So if you don't have the right people, you get nothing. So I don't give me that they need to lose because Tankerton said that now we're 11th and we should have been 4th. It doesn't matter. The important thing is to get the right people there. The Chiefs got Patrick Mahomes as a winning franchise. They move up. They knew who we wanted, and they got him.
Yes.
The Bills move up for Josh Allen, and they got him. If you get the right quarterback, everything's going to be fine. But you need to get the right people inside the building to do that. That's the bottom line. So for me, it doesn't do anything. It's only a loss for those who need to believe. We need the number 1 overall pick in the draft to have a successful franchise. I do believe it starts with the quarterback. If you look at the list of the last 10 Super Bowl winners, Tom Brady, is over there, and the good quarterbacks are on the list. So the quarterbacks is the most important thing. That and the head coach. You need a good GM to surround the players. It starts with the quarterback. I get that. But there are no guarantees that by losing, you're going to get the right quarterback. And not even on this draft, because now there are reports that quarterbacks, the guy from Oregon might go back to Oregon. Everybody else, Mendoza today, we'll see about it next week. So don't get so fixated on getting the number 1 pick and to get a top 3 pick in the draft, because the player you might want today might not even be on the board by coming April. Get it right. Get the people right in the building, and everything will be okay.
Evan, did this win do more harm than good? And I think Evan's on the same clock in regards of the draft. It doesn't have to be a top 10 pick, but I think it's more about if they win and you extend McDaniel's lifespan as head coach. Do you think that's more harm than good to win today in regards of that?
No,
Evan?
I think it's irrelevant to me. I truly believe, and I think people seem to be thinking that I want them to lose. I don't want them to lose. What I want them to do is I want them to get better for the long term. Bobby, you and I once had one of our first conversations you and I had. You said to me, I'll have many years of mediocrity if I can bang those pots and win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, 100%.
I said I want years of success. And what I basically am saying is that we're nowhere close to neither. as long as Tua and Mike McDaniel are the head coach and the starting quarterback of this football team. So all the wins are great for me as a fan and for me as a lover of the Dolphins. But it doesn't do anything to prove that this team is foundationally sound. And yes, you got rid of the player personnel people, you got rid of Greer, but you need a full cleanse. You've never actually, like I always say this about Stephen Ross. You are in real estate development. When you tear down a building, you don't leave parts of the wood that have been there for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. You get rid of everything and you make everything consistent and brand new and fresh. He likes to do things halfway. And when you do things halfway, you don't have that symbiotic relationship. So the same way that Brett was saying about Vish and Andy Reid, where you have the Scott Pioli people, and you have the same way I made the joke that if you fire tomorrow, go get a Hank Fraley and go get a Ray Agnew. Like the point is that you need people who are coming in with a symbiotic relationship. Everything has been force fed for 18 years of his ownership. So that's my frustration. I don't care if we pick two. If we win, even if we went 10-7, which I want them to do, I don't want them to lose another football game. I'm going to be mad if they lose. I don't want them to lose another football game. But even if we were 10-7, I'd still want Tua gone, and I would still might want Mike McDaniel fired. Why? Because they are not sustainable people to win long term and establish us as a perennial franchise. You now need to go compete with Drake May and Mike Vrabel. If I told you this once in another sport, if Mike Vrabel's available, you fire Mike McDaniel to go get Mike Vrabel. That's the kind of thing you do. Andy Reid gets fired, you go pick up Andy Reid and you go pick him up. Mike Tomlin gets fired, me and Sammy are picking him up at the airport. Like that's my point. My point is that when you have great people, talent evaluators and great coaches available and great executives available, you go after them. And that's my frustration is that this is the same guy who wanted Jim Harbaugh, Tom Brady, Sean Payton, but now he's settling for Mike McDaniel. Yuck.
I want to say too, to kind of clarify what he was saying. So one of our first debates that we've ever had, because Evan and I just love debating each other. We just find reasons to disagree. But one of the biggest debates we ever had was, I'd rather, I think the question was, would I rather have years of playoff appearances and playoff wins, but no Super Bowl, or just in my whole lifetime, just one Super Bowl? And I said I would rather win get to see one Super Bowl in my lifetime than they could win one Super Bowl and completely fall off a cliff, and I'd be satisfied because at least I got to see my Dolphins win a Super Bowl. I think that was the talking point back then.
Oh, can you answer this? Can you answer this, Bobby?
Who's a good player you watched in Miami before Tua? Who was a good
quarterback? Because I am a fan. You can't tell me how to fan Farticus. You can't. I love this football team. Bob, the people who are on here know I was the Tua-neer. I am now basically saying that I am allowed to have a particular. I got ripped for loving Tua at the onset, and I was too much of a fan. I got knocked down a rung many, many times. Why?
I want to say this.
I corrupted Evan.
I shouldn't be told how to be fan. I love this football team. No one should be telling me how to be.
Let me just say this. I'll say this right now. And shout out to everyone watching right now. Farticus Maximus. I see him in there in the comments. I see everyone. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Win, lose, or draw, we're all Dolphin fans, and we all have a difference of opinion. And I don't think it's cool calling them names in our lives. Like, come on, let's just enjoy being Dolphin fans and disagree. But I'm just gonna say, I saw Marino in his last years. I didn't get to enjoy Marino's. I will say though, I don't care what anybody thinks. I'll say it before. I'll say it again. I don't give a damn. I take Ryan Tannehill right now. Titans Ryan Tannehill or Tannehill and put him on this Dolphins team right now. At least he could run. He could escape the pocket. He could make some plays. Give me him.
I'm happy they won.
Jay Fiedler would be able to extend the play. Chad Pennington, year one with the Dolphins. He did burn out after, but Chad Pennington, I mean, I'd take him right now. Go ahead, Sammy.
To be fair, it's a complicated debate because of the fact that if you ask me, after Marino, the quarterback that has played at the highest level since Dan Marino has been Tua. Not right now, but the highest level ever played for a quarterback this franchise since Marino left was those great years of Tua, the 2 good years of Tua. Right now, that seems like so far behind, but
why?
it's complicated. Give me a second, Devin. Come on, give me a second. Because it seems like light years ago. But right now, with the whole body of work, I can understand why Bobby says someone like Ryan Tannehill. The other we were joking that Ryan Tannehill was ahead of his time because right now the quarterback like Ryan Tannehill, with the kind of arm he has and the mobility, will be perfect for so many teams. So it's an interesting it's an interesting debate, but it's also complicated. I want to before Brett goes, I want to say something. And that goes to Evan. It's not only winning today, is that the fact that the Dolphins win, but how they won also matters. It was an ugly win. So you have to take in consideration that if Stephen Ross is evaluating, he has to read the complete scene. They won today, a game they should probably won. Like I said, they bleeded Commanders game. They should have won by a lot more. They should have played a lot better, and they didn't. So the fact that they won today doesn't necessarily mean that Mike McDaniel is safe because he got a win. On the checkmark, the winning column, yes, but that was not a win for the Dolphins on the evaluation of Mike McDaniel columns. That's what I'm saying. I'm sorry about that. Please, Bobby.
No, it's all good. And I understand Farkas' points again, though. I mean, I said what I said. Brett, you had some points. I saw you trying to speak up.
No. So, when Sammy brought up the teams were convinced of their guy, moved up and get him. Back in 2019, I said that. You didn't, when we were this tank for two. People fell for the banana in the tailpipe and the slick car salesman that Chris Greer is. I'm the kind of person that goes out wearing the salesman's shoes when I go in because you can't con a con man. So I didn't fall for his bullshit with you had a tank. I understood getting rid of players and getting rid of all the bad contracts and all, which we got to do again. But he had people convinced that he knew what he was going to do. And in 2020, everyone, we got to have the number 1 overall pick. Look, we missed out on Joe Burrow. There were still other options there. And they still missed out on really good talent. And the Ravens always draft well, for the most part. And they're always down at the bottom of the draft. The Steelers always find talent, bottom of the draft. The Chiefs always find talent, bottom of the draft. Weird. It's almost like they know how to get the most value out of their picks and find the best players. There's a list of players that the Chiefs have drafted after us, and all those players are better. Creed Humphrey, we took Liam Eichenberg. The list goes on. Channing Tindall, Leah Chanel. Good teams understand how to build a roster. Farticus, that's incorrect. Jalen Hurts has been carrying the team this entire season. Saquon's actually been a secondary in that. The other aspect, too, is the misconnection with everything is our fan base has no idea what a good quarterback is. They have no idea what good quarterback play looks like. Today was not good quarterback play from the Dolphins, from Tua. This win doesn't hurt anything. Any GM that's looking back and evaluated Tua didn't say, I want that job. I want Tua. I'm licking my lips to have him the last couple of weeks. I can't wait to win a Super Bowl with Tua. No GM in the league, no candidate in the league will look at Tua and think that's a franchise guy. So you look at Tua, and he didn't do anything to push the needle, but this win didn't hurt anything either. I think what this win did was just kind of push the players individually for contracts in the future, getting signed somewhere, possibly getting guys that get traded like Bradley Chubb. The better he's playing, the stronger he finishes the season. You might be able to trade him in the offseason. I believe he's still under contract. So, because we didn't trade him at the deadline. We actually have a much softer cap hit trading him after the season. So, that's probably part of the reason they didn't. So guys like that, I think, have upped their value, which is good for Miami to get a little bit better picks out of a guy like Bradley Chubb. I think a team would like to draft or trade for him. So I think that's kind of what this win did. It kind of showed you who's worth building around who's worth playing with. And then like you look at guys like you look at the roster and you say like, well, defensively they battled. Like Jones, you see what he said afterwards. The Raiders should have cut him or should have kept him. You know, he's made some plays. He's played good. So it just showed you guys that like that to me the win doesn't really hurt or help, and other than like it helps guys like McDaniel in the future, whether it's keeping his job in Miami or building on to something that he could kind of hang on to, or building a resume for offensive coordinator positions. You know what I mean? So to me, it was just more of that, and it just shows that like they're finding ways to win, whether it's good or bad. It's not sustainable, but you know, it's at least enjoyable to watch them win. You know what I mean? We still got the win. I was surprised at it. I had them losing like 20 to like, was it 2017? I think it was. I got it written down somewhere. I had it as like an ugly win in Washington winning it, but I felt with Dan Quinn taking over the defensive play calling, knowing McDaniel really well, I kind of figured maybe, you know, he would just kind of get the wins, you know, but honestly, I think these guys, Josh is right. They're playing for film. I do agree with that. And I don't think it really hurts or helps anything. I think I think guys are putting tape out there. Some guys better than others, and they're putting. I think what really helped too is the plays that were being made. The good players like Jordan Brooks are making a case for saying, okay, this is a guy that you build around. This is a guy you keep. It was good to see the rookies coming around. So, you know, and yeah, I agree. Fields has, or Hurts has thrown a lot of screens and stuff, but you're hyping up Tua as this elite quarterback, and well, he's done a lot of screens.
I don't want to stay too much the debate because you know I know where we has to go. It's been like, no, Daddy, let's get out of here. But
Yeah.
you know, if I just want to say this.
Yeah, Herbert was awful today.
Yes, and
he's been awful. Honestly,
go look Dan Marino's last 10 years of stats. This fan base would have traded him, cut him, say he was trash so many times because of the injuries in the last 10 years, the quarterback rating, the interceptions, and the lack of winning playing games. We love Dan Marino. To me, he was the greatest. But this generation, this fan base right now, they would say he was trash.
Well, that's what I'm saying, because
it's all relative.
They don't know what they're watching, and if you got to watch the film too, because there's so much more than just the stats. And when you see the way things happen, it's just like, you know, the system is working, or the quarterback's making the system work.
Yeah,
there's two
and to be honest, that's what Tua fails, because he has good numbers, but you know, it's more than the stats. It's the game for sure.
Yeah, it's mainly the system that's made him, like what he's done.
Yeah.
But no, Bobby, I don't think the win hurts at all, or helps, or anything. I mean, it's just
it's inconsequential at the end of the day.
You know what I mean? Yeah, just it helps the players and everybody with their future.
No, man, for sure.
Why so sad, Evan?
Not sad. All it does is it pads Devontae Chan's stats. It makes Tua look moronic. Besides that, and it makes McDaniel look like more of a moron than he was before. That's all of the proof today. And we didn't talk about the defense today. Can we talk about the fact that it's not a good stat? The good stat that Jordan Brooks keeps on getting 18 to 20 tackles a game. It means that our D-line gets zero pressure, and Jordan Brooks has to save their keister every single voluntary time. Yeah. Like, by the way, when is the last time all of us heard Jack Taylor's name? I didn't hear his name today. The man's never heard.
Last week, right?
Your best defensive player.
Yes.
Yeah, last week is when he made last week was his best game he had all season.
I'm sorry, but I think I hit the restart button on Evan. Sorry about
that. We were so close yet so far away. No, it's okay. No, Zach Steelers had a bad year this year. I mean, but the whole Dolphins team had
another contract extension year. That after the contract extension, fans want to extend him. You cannot get it away. You have to sign him to an extension. Then after you said, why do you extend him? You want him to extend him. Don't give me that now.
That needs to be studied
every year.
Needs to be studied. Miami's homegrown guys that get extensions and do nothing afterwards. So we need to study this.
Yes, and the fan base too, because they always want the extension, and then when it sucks, why did you extend him? You wanted him extended.
Well, because they pretend that no one remembers what they said or wrote.
Absolutely.
That's what it is. They're like,
Absolutely.
I never said. Yeah, you did.
Yeah, yes,
You know,
I said to extend him. I just didn't think he was going to fall off the face of the earth.
that's it. But that's fair though. I mean, but that goes with everyone.
Exactly, that's different. Yes.
Yeah.
I also
anyway.
didn't say to pay him anywhere near as much as we were paying him.
Yeah. So, Sammy, before we wrap up, Phins TV, what's the plans this week, my man?
We are taking a bye week, so we are
There you
out this
go.
week, and with VCB Plus also because I have something for work Thursday at night, so I'm not gonna be there. But we're gonna come back. We're still discussing who's gonna be the guest, but we'll be back the week after. So we're gonna talk back about the Commander game. We're gonna keep the discussion. We look forward to the great game. It's gonna be against the New Orleans Saints.
Miami will be 7-7 when we are there. Don't get excited.
I'm excited we won.
I don't
It's
think so.
phenomenal. Guys, I'm wearing my gear. I have my license plate. I have all my merchandise. I have my pom-poms. It's great that we won. I just have more of an expectation of this football team. Shame on me for actually thinking that a team that has Achane and their so-called starting quarterback and their number one wide receiver and a healthy defense was losing the game 13-6 into the third quarter.
But
I
you
just don't want to go to
tortured.
the playoffs so we don't get embarrassed. That's all.
Listen. If the Dolphins gets to the playoffs, I said it before. My McDaniel should be coach of the year. That's just not gonna happen. Don't worry about that. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. I say to people, but if they get to the playoffs and they win a game, he should be coach of the year if that happens. And that's not gonna happen. And Evan, listen.
And I will say,
go
ahead,
it's
Sammy,
a torture. I'm sorry, we're gonna be quick. It's a torture. I get it because you're preoccupied saying the more he wins, the better chance he gets to come back. Don't
But he's gonna be back no matter what.
You guys remember when
so don't torture yourself then. Come on. I'm sorry, I'm gonna go away.
Remember when we were 3-7 and Saban won the last 6 games?
Yes.
I'm not
Remember
surprised.
we were 1-7 and Flores won.
Went 8-1 or 7-1. Yeah. Listen, I'm not surprised at anything. I'm not saying it's not happening. I'm just saying
it's not gonna happen.
Yeah. So we all agree.
Not this time.
And then we're 7-7 and still not as good as the other teams going to the playoffs. That's
Jeez, Lou. Well,
that's all I worry about.
Man, oh man. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. So Phins TV and Phins TV Plus is off for the week. They got the bye week. But if you guys love Dolphins content, great production, great debates, great panel, great guests, go check that out. Phins TV. FTSN, we got a lot of programs. On Deck Baseball Podcast will be back this Wednesday with Russ Morgan, who will be talking about free agency and destinations if you love baseball. Alex and I should be back sometime this week with East Century Boys, of course, possibly touching on Dolphins, but also the Miami Heat and some other stuff. This Saturday, I'm not sure if I'll do Phins Talk today yet. Maybe do something like that. We'll see. But I know No Holds Barred Wrestling will be live. We'll be discussing the Sinister Six for Brock Lesnar. We did nice. DDP's Sinister Six on the yesterday, which was a lot of fun, a lot harder than I thought. It is hard to pick the 6 greatest rivals of a guy, and so yes. DDP was a lot of fun. So Josh was like,
NWO.
Oh, I know. I just go the whole list. Well, I did pick. I said Hollywood Hogan, Macho Man, the Outsiders. I paired them up, and then Scott Steiner and Jeff Jarrett.
So easy though. Lesnar's
man. It should be. It should be. But it's crazy because then you go, wait a second, what about this guy? What about that guy? Then we'll do Goldberg the following week.
Real quick.
The last one that always hurts.
That's right. That's exactly what it is.
That we do get guys off IR. Well, we should be getting some guys off IR.
That's true.
So.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Austin Jackson, who was I thought he was already off IR, but he was sat today, so I don't know what happened with that. But that's why I think again, I do like Mendoza. I know I haven't really watched too much on Ty Simpson, so I'm holding my tongue on that. I know Dante Moore more than likely looks like he might come back to Oregon. Lennar Sellers is rumored to be going to the Hurricanes, possibly. So, and of course you got guys who could be in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round, whatever. But I wouldn't sleep on a tackle in the first round for Miami. If one of those kids from Utah is sitting there, or the kid from Miami is sitting there, Francis Maui Goa. I'm probably butchering that. But and those are just names I'm throwing out. I watched some of them, and I really like those three guys. But we'll watch them more and go. But those are just names and again, edge rusher. Can't sleep on that. You traded Jalen Phillips. Bradley Chubb more than likely is going to be gone after this season. Chop Robinson, and he's on your other side, but he hasn't. This year's been a down year for him. If you're in that range to get one of those top edge rushers, you should. But we'll get there when we get
every effing year.
100%. You draft one every year. And I will say, shout out Josh Wingate's been in the comments. Wingate will be back sooner rather than later, I'm sure, with on the clock. And so I'm looking forward to doing that and get back into that. What
I see he's even like, he's like
he's stretching his
leg. Just like
I was gonna wink it hard.
But Evan's choking himself. He's trying to get himself excited. But anyway,
the only way he feels anything this season.
By the way, I hope you realize this. That once upon a time, there was a man on a bandwagon from Canada.
All I do is I drink the leche.
Then he was introduced to a guy who lived near the Mason-Dixon line. Then he introduced me to a guy, his mentor, by the name of Greg Maney. And then, unfortunately, those two guys basically brainwashed this kid from Canada to believe.
That's man from Canada. He said this kid
with imagination. Because if you remember, my foundation of my fandom completely was obliterated by Brett Lagasse and Greg Maney. So don't blame me. Blame those two for making me see the light.
I did say that. I did say I corrupted that.
Yeah. But anyway, guys, we appreciate everybody tuning in here. That's Finstanza, Brett Lagasse, Finn Sammy of Phins TV. I'm Bobby Finstock. Appreciate you guys hanging with us. Had a great viewership throughout the show, whether you're watching on FTSN YouTube, FTSN Extra, Facebook, Twitch, or X. We appreciate you. If you're anywhere other than YouTube, come on over, hit that subscribe button, hit that notifications bell. If you love our bad takes, or if you love laughing at us, laughing with us, and just love content, come back, hit that subscribe button, join us again. And again, we it's other stuff other than Dolphins here on FTSN. So just enjoy the program. We got fantasy sports, you got baseball, wrestling, basketball. You got it all here on FTSN. So subscribe, and most importantly, Dolphin fans, fins up. Good night, Miami.